Hello, I'm here.
There she is.
We're getting live stream. That's nice.
Eladio, shall we start?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. George Couros. Good morning, Professor Nadila Sanjur, coordinator of the master program, members of the staff, professors teaching in the master's degree, special guests, and dear students. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We are Eladio Quintero and
Arelis Rodriguez.
and it is a pleasure to be the moderators of today's symposium under the theme Teaching Trends in Pandemic Times.
If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. John Dewey. As it is a practice each year, the students of the master's degree in linguistics have the pleasure to organize this academic event. We hope you can enjoy this important academic occasion today.
We would like to start this program with a prayer to invoke the Almighty. It is the time to call the master's degree students Arheli Chanis.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put ourselves in the presence of God. We'll pray all together for the success of this event. Dear Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to trust in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you come with your glory and spirit and inspire our hearts today. Fill this symposium with your presence and make the knowledge we are sharing here today be of your pleasure and of the benefit of all of us. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
To continue with this event, let's welcome Professor Nadila Sanjur, who will give us the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this 7th symposium organized by some professors and by the present group of graduating students. It is a very, a great pleasure for me to be here with the 4 groups of MA candidates together, ready to share knowledge that they have acquired throughout the whole program. And I've seen some faces, new faces, and this is a great time for us to be together. Too bad that it is not face-to-face, but anyway, it will serve the purpose. So welcome and enjoy whatever our MA candidates have to say, and also the special guest. So thank you very much for being here and hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Professor Nadila Sanjur, for your words.
Now, let's welcome to our special guests for today. They are representative of the United States Embassy in Panama. They are Professor Juan Carlos Rivera, Regional English Language Office Assistant, and Ms. Sarah Ferguson, Established Opinion Leaders Specialist, that have some words for us and will share some important information. Mr. Rivera and Ms. Ferguson, the stage is all yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Morning, everyone. Sarah, I don't know if you want to be first, ladies first, as they say, or I can get it started right away.
No problem. The only thing is that I can't see anyone. I guess I have some problems with internet, but
Okay.
Let me see if I can share my screen. If you see it, we don't have any problems.
Okay.
Let me just try to share.
Great.
Yeah. Let me try to share my screen.
Looks
Am
perfect.
I sharing?
Yes, you are. Looks perfect.
Okay, great, thank you. So this, as I mentioned at the beginning, is going to be nice and sweet, very short presentation. It's just to let you know some of the programs that the U.S. Embassy offers. And we're going to start with the general requirements for applying to all our programs. The most important one is English. English needs a score for an IBT test between 90 and 100. And if it is paper-based, between 550 and 600. Depending on the program that you would like to apply to, the GPA varies a little. For some programs as Fulbright Core, the GPA is 2.5 out of 3. And for programs like Fulbright Senacid, the GPA would be 2.0 out of 3. Another important aspect to apply to our programs is volunteering and community service, which I know that most of the universities are working on with their students. Be Panamanian, permanent residing here in Panama, because there are some Panamanians that would like to apply, but unfortunately they are living out of Panama. Work experience, 2 years of work experience. However, we consider everything you do that is related to the university and to your career, like I'm not sure. But well, if you are working right now and you don't have the 2 years of experience that we require, we consider you can apply, because actually the whole program, the process takes like a whole year. So you still have another year to complete the 2 years of experience that we are requiring. So everything that you do that is directly related to your career is considered as work experience. No prior or limited experience in US. This is something that we actually pay a lot of attention to, because if you have previous experience, like if you have studied in the United States, we think that you can apply not for a scholarship, but through other means. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that later. And have completed the undergraduate education and hold a degree. I'm sorry, someone just turned on the, I think they are mowing the lawn. So these are the programs we have. In the past, I used to manage all the Fulbright programs, but like 2 years ago, the State Department restructured all sections. So now they divided the programs for emerging voices and for established opinion leaders. For emerging voices are those students that haven't finished their career, that are still studying, and that have like they have like not started working or not established. So we have 4 programs actually: Fulbright Foreign Student Program Core, the Fulbright Senacid Program, the Global Undergraduate Exchange Program, and the Study of the U.S. Institute Program for Student Leaders. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about each one of them. As I mentioned before, for Fulbright Foreign Student Program, or which the one we call CORE, we offer a master degree. The GPA you need to apply to this program is 2.5, and you need an advanced level of English. All careers can apply except medicine or careers related to medicine, unless it is for like public health, administrative careers, not that you're going to have a direct contact with patients. We have the Fulbright Senacid program. This is here we offer master and doctoral degrees. The GPA we require is 2.0 out of 3. advanced level of English. The specific topics to apply to this program is science, also technology, engineering, and innovation. The opposite as the Fulbright core, here you cannot apply for a business administration degree. That is for Fulbright core, not for Fulbright Cenacit. Only scientific careers can apply to Fulbright Cenacit. Then we have the Global Undergraduate Exchange Program. This is a program designed for students that are studying, that are still at the university, like from the first to the third year, that they haven't completed the career. They can go to the United States for 1 semester. The English level requires intermediate advanced. Usually the call opens in November. And Global UGRAD participants will live on campus with US peers. All academic fields of study are eligible. And they need to do like 20 hours of community service activities, and they take 2 courses in their major and at least 1 course in US study fields. Another program is a study of the U.S. Institute program for student leaders, and this is the only program that we have at the embassy, which is in Spanish. This is a 5-week program. It's designed for students between 18 and 25 years old. They need to have at least 1 semester left of their undergraduate studies, so that means that they have not graduated from the university. This is a program designed for historically underserved indigenous groups, Afro-Latinos, disadvantaged groups, individuals with disabilities, and ethnic minority communities. And we make a lot of emphasis on this because it is so difficult for us to find this kind of audience, but you as professors, as a university, you can help us like promote this program among underserved or indigenous groups and disadvantaged groups to apply to this program. Since it is in Spanish, I guess it's easier, but you can help us do that. This is a 4-week academic residency, and it also includes a domestic study tour of approximately 1 week. Now we have the other group of scholarship that we offer, and these are designed for established opinion leaders. We have the academic and professional Fulbright programs for the Americas, which is the LASPAO program. We have the Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement, TEA, the Fulbright Hubert H. Humphrey Fellowship, the SUSI for secondary school educators, teachers, and administrators, and the SUSI for university level faculty members. The academic and professional Fulbright programs for the Americas, which is the Fulbright LASPAO, offers a master and a doctoral degree. It is designed for professors, researchers, and administrators. In the past, the university was the only one who was allowed to nominate the professors or researchers or administrators. Due to the pandemic, things have changed a little, and now applicants can do it on their own also, not necessarily nominated by the university. And the level of English requires intermediate advanced. We also have the Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program. That's the Fulbright TEA. It is a 6-week program. The level of English required is intermediate advanced. You must have completed at least 5 years of full-time teaching. This is a priority, a requirement. It is designed for full-time secondary school teachers, and it can be for English teachers, math teachers, science and social studies teachers, and also for special education. The program includes seminars on curriculum development, lesson planning, new teaching methodologies, and instructional technology training, and also a practicum of 40 hours with a US partner. Then we have the Fulbright Hubert H. Humphrey Fellowship Program, the Fulbright HHH. It is a 10-month non-degree graduate level study. It requires low intermediate English. It is designed for young and mid-career professionals with potential for leadership and commitment to public service in either the public or the private sector. The requirements for these programs are minimum of 5 years of substantial. When they mention substantial full-time professional experience, means that they consider a lot everything that you have done during those 5 years, like awards that you have received, projects that you have developed, and things like that. Demonstrated leadership qualities, a record of public service in the community, and strong English skills. Also 6-week work experience or professional affiliation. It includes 4-day seminar in Washington, D.C., and intensive English language training, and fellows audit or register for a partial course. Then we have the SUSE program for secondary school educators, teachers, and administrators. It is a 5-week program. It requires advanced level of English. You need to have firm plans to enhance, update, or develop courses and/or educational materials with a U.S. studies focus. Teachers focus on content and materials about the United States rather than teaching methods and pedagogy. The program will offer multiple opportunities for follow-on engagement through alumni webinars, grant-funded follow-on projects, social media, and alumni workshops. For this program, SUSE, for university level and faculty members, this is a 6-week postgraduate level academic program. It requires advanced level of English, and priority will be given to candidates who have firm plans to enhance, update, or develop courses and/or educational materials with a U.S. studies focus or component. Candidates should be mid-career, typically between ages of 30 and 50, but not necessarily if you are, it can be less than 30. It depends on the applicants of the cohort when you apply. For these university level and faculty members, we have 6 institute themes, which are contemporary American literature, American politics and political thought, journalism and media, religious pluralism in the United States, U.S. culture and society, and U.S. foreign policy. Those are the 6 themes that we consider for this. I mean, you can apply to each one, to any one of these themes. And here we have the webpage for the U.S. Embassy and our email, pancultural@state.gov, if you have any questions. But I would like, let me see, to take you to our webpage very fast. Well, this is our webpage actually. PA for Panama.usembassy.gov, and you can visit our webpage. Before I complete my presentation, I would like to invite you to the book fair, International Book Fair, Panama. This year, the United States is the host or the invited country. And this is our webpage. On our webpage, which is new, so you can also, if you visit our webpage, you can leave a message like, I find it friendly, it's not friendly, etc., because it's totally new. But if you scroll down and you look for Estudiar en Estados Unidos, try to look for this in Spanish, because we have Spanish and English, but in Spanish we have like more information. And you click where it says Estudiar en Estados Unidos, and you scroll down, you're gonna find programas de intercambios culturales y profesionales. And here you have programa Fulbright, programa para profesionales y académicos, programas para estudiantes. This is kind of, it's for me, it's not so friendly, but if you visit programas para profesionales right here, where it says more information, it takes you to our programs. Fulbright Las Pau, you have all the information there, the requirements, when the call opens. Usually our programs open in January, February, actually. Some of our programs for established opinion leaders, for emerging voices, the programs usually open around November. So here you find all the information, Programa Fulbright, the Intercambio Hubert Humphrey, all the requirements, everything is online. You don't have to take papers or send anything to the embassy. You just have to fill out the application, and you're gonna see all the links and everything here. So it is kind of easy to apply. It takes some time because you have to write some essays, but English professors are used to writing essays, so I don't think there will be any problems. And if you go back and you click where it says Programas para Estudiantes, then you find all the information for what we call our audience, which is emerging voices. You go here where it says more information. And find the Fulbright Core Scholarship, the Fulbright Cenacit Scholarship Program, the Global U Grant, and all the information you need. And you can help us promote our programs and tell the students how to visit our webpage. So to finish, again, just invite you to visit our stand. Our stand, for visiting our stand, you just have to go to philpanama.org where it says Área Virtual, and that will take you to the virtual fair. Then you need to register. You will have an avatar that you can move around the fair, visit the different stands. And please visit our stands. We have a lot of presentations at the Mark Twain room, and we have a lot of more information. As I mentioned before, it's not only for established opinion leaders and emerging voices, but there are some students that would like to learn English. Unfortunately, the embassy doesn't offer, and that is something that Juan Carlos is going to talk about. But as scholarships, we do not offer anything to learn the language, to learn English. But we do have an office, which is Education USA right here. And you're going to find more information about Education USA in our stand at the book fair. So please visit our book fair, our stand. We're going to be there today until 9 p.m. and tomorrow, which is the last day, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And please invite your students. Since it is virtual, everybody can have access to this fair, buy books, find information, and fill out the survey that we have our stand, so we can have your contact information. And I think this is from my part, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to respond to your questions. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. Great presentation. I think it's my turn right now. Well, I think you all know me. I'm Juan Carlos Rivera. I'm the Regional English Language Office Assistant. I'm going to give a brief presentation about our office, the Regional English Language Office. But in addition, I like to echo what Sarah just said about the opportunities. Take a chance, dream big, because we sometimes tend to believe that I'm not good enough for something, or who am I, or whatever, but that's not the case, at least not in our embassy. I mean, we give opportunities to everybody. We do our best to support you along the way. So some people may have questions about the tests or the admissions requirements. Keep in mind that, as Sarah mentioned, we have Education USA. They're a partnering organization that works hand in hand with the U.S. Embassy, supporting students who are looking for grants or who need some sort of support regarding admission procedures. As a matter of fact, they just launched a university preparation program that was in November last year. So all that information is on their website. You just need to visit their website, and you're going to find a lot of information about the TOEFL test, the SAT, GRE, etc. So take some time to visit their webpage on Instagram, but in addition, visit our the book fair. I'm sorry, our stand at the book fair, where you can find all that information as well. Okay, now moving to my presentation. I'm going to start sharing my screen right now. Okay. Please let me know if you're able to see this. You see this?
Yes, yes.
That's good. Okay, this is our office, the Regional English Language Office. We cover all the way from Nicaragua to Venezuela and also the Caribbean. Mainly, we focus on teacher training, but we also have opportunities for students. So, let's see, this is not moving. Let me see. Okay, this is one of our star products. This is the American English website. Well, this is the website. You just need to Google it, or maybe you want to copy this presentation. Maybe you want to take a picture. And this is a walkthrough that I created a bit.ly link for it, so you can easily access it. You can see what's inside this website. As I said, this website is super important for us, but it takes time, to explore it. It's super user-friendly. However, this is a hub to other corners. For example, here we have the English Forum journals. Maybe you're familiar with this journal. This is created by teachers, for teachers. So here you're going to find lots of ideas on how to better implement teaching and learning strategies in the classroom. If you have a super great idea that is kind of burning your head and you want to get published, you can actually contact them and submit your proposal, and maybe you can get published. So that's a very nice opportunity. In addition, I encourage you to visit resources. Next time you feel you are running out of material or whatever, go to resources. I can guarantee you that you won't feel alone anymore. Okay, so there is material there categorized by a field area. You're gonna find content for teaching, speaking, writing, reading, etc. Also cultural content. There are lots of games that you can download. Everything is for free, still high quality, but everything is for free. So you don't have to worry about copywriting. And you can download all those games, those tracks, MP3 tracks, etc. So you can implement all that content in the classroom. So please don't take my word. Visit us, visit the American English website. Here's the URL. And I really like to encourage you to try the walkthrough, because it's going to show you every single content inside the American English website. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, these are some of the programs that we sponsor at the embassy. We have the English language fellows and the English language specialists. These two, well, both of them are specialists actually, but we call these English language fellows and the English language specialists. The difference between them is that fellows are mostly focused on teaching. However, specialists do both teaching, and they also help prepare, create content, curriculum design, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so if universities are interested in getting one of these two types of specialists, feel free to contact us, and we can certainly hold a meeting with you, and we can show you how the steps to apply for this program. For these programs, I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me keep going. Okay, I included this. I don't know if any of you had a chance to participate in this training program that was last year. However, if you missed it, you don't need to worry about that, because if you visit the U.S. Embassy YouTube channel, you're gonna find all that information right here. So feel free to visit the U.S. Embassy YouTube channel. These are the topics that were covered during 2 weeks. We came up with these topics because the pandemic was striking the whole world, and we felt well, we thought that we could do something about it, and we decided to create a program for those teachers that were struggling, for those teachers who felt like inspired to walk the extra mile regarding technology in the classroom and how to deal with virtual teaching and learning. So all these topics were developed, but if you missed this, as I said, no need to worry, because you can visit the U.S. Embassy YouTube channel. You're going to find the recordings of all of these series. Okay. We did the same afterwards. Yeah, there were some topics we thought that had been missed. We decided to include, for example, teaching with limited technology, which is a case, you know. Sometimes teachers struggle because you may have lots of technology at home, but what about your students? So we don't know how to deal with students experiencing like limited technology scenarios. So we hired another specialist to cover these topics. What else? There's another one, right? Let me see. Okay, mobile learning. It's not a secret that, I don't know, 80% of people actually access the internet through the mobiles. So we came up with these topics to complement the previous one. Okay, this is the forms to apply for the English language fellows and English language specialists. However, this is just a presentation, so in case you get interested in either the fellows or the specialists, feel free to contact us. I'll be glad to send you the forms, but we always prefer to discuss that with you in advance, so to guide you through the whole process. Okay, and this is the open program. If you are part of our distribution list, you receive this information on a regular basis. We sponsor 4 GOCs, which is global online courses per year. Yeah. If you're not part of our distribution list, at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to show you how to join our distribution list, and I can guarantee you that you're going to receive lots of information about resources and opportunities. I mean, free resources and opportunities from our embassy. Yeah. So the open program is the online professional English network. We provide training for teachers. Yeah. And also for students. Topics are very diverse. Yeah, we got like 16 different topics just inside the MOOCs, and around 12 inside the global online courses. These are the global online courses. Well, we're going to see more about that later on. Okay, this is the website. So as I said, this is just a taste of the things that we have for you. So always take a look at our website and explore it, play with it, and I'm sure you won't regret it. Okay, as I was just saying, we have webinars, we have MOOCs, and we have GOCs. Well, I was just speaking about the GOCs. The GOCs and the MOOCs are very similar. The topics are very similar too, but GOCs are teacher-led. It means that you are guided courses. These are like self-paced and self-guided courses. These take 8 weeks, these take 5 weeks, but sometimes they take up to 8 weeks too. So you don't need to worry about what time you can access them at all, because they are asynchronous, so you can access them whenever you want. However, they got a limited time period to do so. So even though these say they are self-paced in terms that you don't get guided by an instructor, but if you need some sort of help, of course you can contact them. But you need to access the program within a time frame, and that applies to this one, of course, too. So, and these are the webinars. The webinars are the ones we offer through the American English Live series. You can access those live series 4 times a year. We sponsor four cohorts per year, and they take place every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you need to know when the cohorts are taking place, so feel free to join our distribution list, and I can guarantee you that we'll send you all that information. Everything here is for free. If you complete 4 out of 6 sessions, you're gonna get a certificate. If you complete this course successfully, you're gonna get a certificate. And of course, it also applies to the GOCs. As I said, MOOCs, well, I didn't say this, MOOCs are open, so there is no limited number of participants, and for the GOCs, there is a limited number of participants, so you need to submit your application. Of course, if you are part of a distribution list, and I cannot emphasize this more, you're gonna get news about, I mean, you're gonna get the announcements about both the GOCs, well, actually the webinars, the MOOCs, and the GOCs. You're gonna get to know when they're open, etc. Also, if you visit our social media, you know, Instagram, Facebook, etc., they get published there too. Let me keep going. These are the topics. Yes, I'm not gonna read them for you because you all can read. So these are the GOCs, content-based instruction, etc. Okay, I think there is, yeah, creating and implementing online courses. This is a new course that we just launched for this last cohort, and it's going to stay. Yeah, creating and implementing online courses. This is a great opportunity, especially given the current scenario. We also have one on using educational technology in the classroom. So, well, the other topics, of course, are equally important. However, given the fact that we're talking about online learning, so these are the 2 topics that are very targeted towards those fields. That field, I'm sorry, that field. Yeah, and these are the MOOCs. Yeah, topics are kind of more diverse. We got more topics. Let me see. Yeah, using educational technology in the English language classroom. If you don't get selected for the GOCs that I just talked about, you feel free to join this course. Yeah, so quality is very similar. You're gonna get a certificate. You're gonna get a lot of new and great ideas. So never feel discouraged if you don't get accepted for the GOCs at first. Apply twice, apply 3 times, etc. And chances are many you're gonna get selected. For the MOOCs, you don't need to apply. You just need to join. Yeah, let me keep going. This is an American English Live series. This is Live Series 11, so this is outdated because right now we are promoting Live Series 12. So again, if you join our distribution list, you're gonna get information about this live series. So this was the topic for series 11, I think, and I listed the topics on here. Let me see. Yeah, these are the topics that were covered. However, for the live series 12, we have no topics, but if you missed the live series, you don't need to worry about that, because if you visit the American English website, we got recordings of all those webinars. So no need to worry, because we record every single thing and we give you free access to all that content. This is our YouTube channel. I was going to navigate it, but I think you can do it on your own. Yeah, this is the American English YouTube channel. So if next time you go to YouTube, just type American English State or State American English, and it's going to pop up. But please subscribe, because there is great content here. For example, if you are a current teacher, you can visit these fun video clips. They're going to teach you how to. I mean, they can complement your lessons by showing students about idioms, about grammar, about pronunciation, etc., etc., etc. As I said, if you missed any of the live series webinars or any other webinar that we provide, they're also hosted here on our YouTube channel. So all the recordings are here. Also, if you visit the American English website, all the recordings are right there. This is the American English for Educators Facebook page. Also, all the information is posted here. So we are always using more than one channel to publicize our resources and opportunities. So feel free to join it. Just to go to Facebook and American English for Educators. And again, if you're part of our distribution list, you're going to get to know about these opportunities. Last year, we got the chance to sponsor, I think it was 22 Panamanian teachers to participate in the TESOL 2020 International Convention and English Language Expo. 22 last year. We did the same this year, and we were able to sponsor 36 Panamanian teachers. And then this event just ended, the TESOL Elevate. Yeah, this was an event intended for new teachers, like teachers been teaching for 5 years or less, but we also accepted some people like within 6 and 10. There are always some slots left, and we'd be more than glad to offer them to you. And we are so proud because we were able to sponsor 88 Panamanian teachers and also students for this event because students were also allowed. And this is the Access Micro Scholarship Program that we sponsor for underprivileged students. We are present in 5 provinces. Yeah, okay. I think it's 5 provinces. We got one in Veraguas. Actually, I saw that Elias is here. Elias is one of our Access teachers. Okay, contact list. If you got your cell phones with you, feel free to scan this QR code, and that's going to take you to a form that you're supposed to complete to be part of our contact list. If you don't have a QR code reader, feel free to type this URL, bit.ly.reload, capital P, lowercase a, and you're gonna be part of our contact list. So every week you're gonna get our newsletter. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to do so. If not, just take a picture. You can do it later. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, these are our offices around the world. If you want to share this information with people from other countries, so use this QR code, because the previous one was intended only for the Rio Panama region. I mean, from Nicaragua all the way to Venezuela and the Caribbean, but this is for all other countries. They can visit this website, and they're gonna see. They're gonna get in touch with the offices around the world. That's it on my end. So this is our email address, relo_panama@state.gov. And this is my office WhatsApp number. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions. I'm gonna stop sharing right now. And this is the end of my presentation. I don't know if you have any questions for Sarah or me. So the stage is all yours.
Professor Juan Carlos, I have a question for you. I cannot go without. In order to apply, Ms. Sarah and you have been telling us and recalling that everyone needs a higher OPER English standard. What would be the best for you to know what is your standard in order to apply?
Okay, I think that question goes to Sarah, actually. She can help us better.
Is there any website that you can, you can provide to us or something so we can have an idea? That would be my question. Thank you.
We do, actually, we do, Howard. I don't have it here with me right now because I'm teleworking, but if you share your email with us, or you send the question to pancultural@state.gov, I'll be happy to share the link that we have with you. There's an online test that we usually request our participants to take, and it's very easy. It's a very short test, like no more than 30 minutes, 30 minutes, but it's very accurate, and that's just at the beginning because the program covers the TOEFL test.
Yeah,
and it depends, actually depends on the TOEFL test score then.
Excuse me, Sarah, are you talking about the EF test?
Exactly, yeah, do you
Okay.
have the link? Thank you.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Any other question? Thank you very much to Ms. Ferguson and Mr. Rivera for all this information. Our third special guest is Ms. Kelly Chamber, Peace Corps member. She will share with us an important and interesting topic that is pandemic learning times. She will share with us her experiences via a video presentation. Let's watch.
Buenas. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Flynn, now Chambers. I think that I will recognize a lot of people at the meeting today, but if not, I had the pleasure of living in Panama for 2.5 years in the community of La Peña. And I was with the Peace Corps, or Cuerpo de Paz, and I was working in La Peña with the teachers at the secondary school there. Today, Professor Amarilli asked me to join this meeting, and I'm very excited to be able to share with all of you some of my experiences here in the United States during the pandemic learning time. So first of all, my background is teaching high school English, but when I came back from Panama, I began working as a media specialist or librarian. And I spent 3 years at a public middle school teaching library skills and working in the library. We were surprised, like the rest of the world, when we were told during our spring break, which our school year is from August to the end of May. So our summer months are June, July, and part of August. This varies from state to state, but in Florida, we get out at the end of May and start in early August. So for this year, we've actually already started school. So we were surprised during our spring break, which was in March. It started on March 13th, that we were told, okay, you're not coming back. And we weren't sure if that meant a month or how long it would mean. But as we all know, it ended up being the rest of the school year for us, which fortunately, because we do start early or earlier than other states, it was only 1 quarter that we had to spend in the quarantine time. A little bit of background about, so I'm in Florida in the county of Manatee County, like the animal. And in Florida, just like all of our states, all 50 states that we have in the United States, they all have a governor. So we have our president, and then the president will give guidance about the way the schools should run, but the state itself will decide how it will actually run. And it will govern who will receive funding for whatever reason. So that's interesting, and I think it's different than Panama because if I understand correctly, Maduka decides the entire country and everyone follows eventually with what Maduka says. Whereas here in the US, we have each governor saying what to do. But underneath that governor, there are school districts. And the school districts often will fight back against any type of rules that they disagree with. So maybe they don't think we should go to school. Or maybe they think that there shouldn't be masks, or there should be masks, or whatever it is. And usually the governor will win simply because he or she can say, fine, if you don't do that, you will not get state funding. And I think we all know the importance of receiving state funding or, funding from the government or province funding. I'm not sure if that's its own funding. Private schools, like my daughters attend a private Catholic school, they make their own rules. They follow a diocese if it's Catholic, or if it's an independent school, private school, they may or may not have other schools in their district that they have to listen to or cooperate with. The private schools, I find, will typically make rules that based on what that will appease the parents. So whatever the parents really are fighting for is what they'll do. So we did not return back to school following the spring break until the new school year, which was August of 2020. And in Florida, the state was fully open for school at that time, but you had an option. You could choose to be a virtual learner or online learner, or you could choose to be back in person. And this was a unique thing to our state. Not every state had that option. Initially in Manatee County, where I live and worked, the school allowed you to do half and half. So you would be at school for 2 days and at home for 2 days or 3 days. And they called that hybrid learning, kind of like a hybrid car that they kind of mixed the two. I found that the hybrid situation was very difficult for teachers and students because there was just a lack of consistency in what was expected of those students. I was a traditional teacher, as they called it, last year, and even though I was the librarian, they added roles to my position because they were trying to space out all of the students. So classrooms had to be separated and students had to sit further apart, the 6 feet apart, which then later became 3 feet apart. We were required to wear masks If students didn't wear masks, they could get in trouble, which usually means that the principal or a teacher will call the parent. And that's usually what it means to get in trouble. The online and virtual learners, they were able to stay online and virtual for the entire school year if they wished. But we did have a lot of students in the first quarter of August of 2020, which runs about August to October, and many students failed that quarter. So students were contacted and their parents were contacted, and if they were not following the rules and if they were not logging into the computer and attending school even online, they were required to come back to the actual school building. So in the second quarter, many things changed and a lot of students came back and became better students again. And many of them admitted that they were just at home playing games, you know, that they didn't have adult supervision and no one was holding them accountable, and therefore they were not doing their homework or doing any assignments. Personally, I had a difficult year because the library wasn't open normally because I had different classes in my space. So because of that, a lot of the fun things that come along with being a librarian were no longer a reality. So I was anxious to finish last school year, just survive it basically. But I was happy that I was at school and not at home, because I found that, and maybe this is true for many of you, being at home meant that my workload was just never ending. You know, principals and leaders in the school would contact me and say, oh, I need you to do this, and I need you to do that, and this, and this, and this. So normally you go to school and you have a certain amount of work in one day that you can do. But suddenly the work comes home with you and, you know, the work never ends. So I was grateful to be at the school itself so that I could focus on working hard. And then when I left, and I didn't have to be caught up in, you know, all the extra stuff that was happening in the previous year. My daughters also attended full-time classes last year, and I thought it would be interesting to share their perspective and to let you know what two girls in the United States, what their experience was like. So now I'm going to share that with you.
Hi. So now we're going to be talking to two students that are very important to me. These are my two daughters. I have my 8-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, who this year is in 3rd grade, and I have my 11-year-old daughter who is now in 6th grade. Her name is Kimberly. My first question for the girls is, what was the best part of quarantine? So 2 years ago, we had to stop going to school. What was the best part of that?
We could finish early, and then we didn't have to work the rest of the day. Everything was the worst. I had no best.
What do you mean was the worst?
Everything. Because the teachers couldn't explain it, and so the work was a lot harder for me to do.
Did you find using the computer was hard, or just the fact that the teacher wasn't
Both.
explaining? What was hard about the computer?
The computer I didn't really understand. It was a lot of like confusing stuff because we didn't use Google Classroom that year. We used something else, and it was confusing.
So it was like you started a brand new program that you've never used before?
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What was hard about it?
It was hard because the teacher couldn't explain, so some things I didn't get, and so that was kind of difficult.
Did your feelings change at all over the course of that last quarter? We only had one quarter where we had to be at home. Did you start thinking, oh, this was cool, and then decide it wasn't cool?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that like?
It's like I thought it was gonna be fun and I would have like more time off, but really, we just had to get up and basically do the same thing. Only difference was like the setting.
Yeah, and we still got up early and stuff. And the computer was also very confusing.
And another difference was my sister was there, and sometimes it was annoying she was there because she was in the way.
Okay, so now let's fast forward to last year. Can you describe what school was like last year? Were you at home? Were you at school?
We were at school.
Okay.
But
We had to wear masks all day.
And it was a little confusing if the teacher was talking to the online learners or the school learners.
Yeah, so it was harder. And like the special teachers had to come to our room instead of us going to their room.
What does that mean, a special teacher?
A special teacher, like a Spanish teacher, a music teacher, a library teacher, an
We
art
didn't
teacher.
have library
but
or
we
art.
didn't have library
Or art.
or art.
So what specials did you have last year?
We had Spanish, PE,
And music.
And then what differences were there from last year to this year?
This year, we don't have to wear masks in the hallway because they're outside. There's no online learners. You go to the specialist teacher's room, and since I'm in middle school, there are tons of other changes, like random ones, like now we switch classes
Well,
and blah blah.
now now we can take them off in the hallway, and we get a little like mask break, and also we don't have, and like the specials don't have to come here, and we still have art and a lot of new teachers, and
Did you see Riley?
it's nice that they don't have to explain it to the online learners and then say it all over again to us.
Last year like right now you have how many kids in your class?
25.
25. Do you think you would have had 25 last year?
No, because we had to split our classes up.
Oh, okay. What was that like?
That was hard because, like the other people in the other classes I was also friends with, and I couldn't talk to them at all. And there were like only 3 other girls, so we weren't really doing much together. And over there were more girls, and there was a lot of fighting.
And in your class, did you have the online learners in your class, or was that just the other class?
It was just in my class.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes your teacher had to talk to the computer, or what did she talk to?
Well, she did kind of talk to the computer, so she would be saying the words and like by the computer, or she would have a little microphone thingy so that Aubrey could hear her.
Oh, because Aubrey was the at-home learner.
Mm-hmm.
What about this year? Were you happy to go back to school?
Yes.
Is it better than last year already?
Yes.
Because of those changes?
Yes.
After we had, so last school year though, were you happy to go back to school after being online?
Yes.
Can you even remember that?
Yes.
Because online was harder.
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything else that from this time do you think makes it harder to learn or just different? Do you miss anything from before all this? Or does it feel normal now?
We don't have to wear a mask. Like I like not having to wear a mask.
Mhm.
Same. But really, honestly, it feels normal.
I like it.
I don't like it.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you want to share with the teachers in Panama? No? Okay, how about you say just wave goodbye?
Bye.
So those were my daughters. I am glad that you got to meet them virtually. And I've been very grateful during this time that they have each other, because they've had a shared experience as sisters. And even though they do fight, of course, they get along really well too, and they are friends, and they have been able to play together. In Panamanian culture, what I observed and what I really treasured was the devotion to family. You know, a lot of times I observed that grandparents, parents and children will all live in one house together. Sometimes the aunts and uncles are next door, and you know, there's almost like a compound of people, of family that live so close to each other. And that is, and I would imagine was and has been really, really significant, especially this past year and a half, or however long it is. I am very fortunate that one of my brothers lives in the same city as me, and my mom is here as well, and so I could see them. But there are a lot of people that really refused or were fearful to see any family members. So because of my support system here, I felt that even though it was a weird, uncomfortable time, and it still is somewhat, it wasn't as bad as it was in other places. And I'm grateful that I was able to keep my support system close. And I feel for the people that haven't seen their parents since all this has started, or haven't been able to visit other family members. I have one brother, my oldest brother, who lives in a state called Idaho, which is on the opposite side of the country. And I have not seen him since this all started. So that was unfortunate, because I got married in October. You can imagine it was a rather difficult time to plan a wedding, but we just wanted to, I'm glad we did it, because otherwise we would still have been wondering what we're doing. But we haven't seen him since before that time. So I would say that one of the really great things about Panamanian culture that I appreciated and observed was just the significance of family. And I think that having that system, that support, probably played a major, and probably still plays a major role in the mental health of Panamanians, even if they haven't necessarily been able to receive the equal education that they were receiving prior to the pandemic. At this time, Amarili asked me to answer any questions, so I'm going to end the video.
We want to
Everybody. I'm sorry.
We want to thank Ms. Chambers for sharing this presentation with us.
Let's start with the conferences.
Yes, there is a question for Kelly done by Professor Amarielis. Can you explain a little bit more about hybrid education?
Yeah, so hybrid was that, at least in Florida, because every state had their own plan, which was very interesting. Like when you're watching the news, kind of being like, oh, that's what that state's doing, or that what that community is doing or district. But the
state of Florida, the way that we started, or at least in Manatee County, because again, every district has a different plan. The plan was that they were going to have students that came Monday, Tuesday, and then stayed home on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or they were there only Thursday, Friday, and stayed home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And those students were called hybrid students. And the idea was that on Wednesdays, the school would get like sanitized completely. Well, a week before school started, they decided that in addition to that, they were going to have students that could come all 5 days. So the plan really was not, I don't know, I don't want to say factual, but it was just, it wasn't exactly what they had set out to do, because I know that because I had classes in my library every single day, we did not get an intense wipe down on Wednesdays. It was just a regular day. So it was just really interesting that the hybrid situation existed. And I know it made things very frustrating for teachers that were not hybrid teachers, because they would be in their hallways looking around on Wednesdays and it would be a ghost town. No one would be there. And they're thinking, we're supposed to all be in this together, but yet my colleagues don't have to come in on Wednesdays. So it was just kind of an interesting, I think that's one of the most wonderful parts of teaching, is that we really do feel like we are in it together. And because of kind of separation of responsibilities or how delegations went down, people were feeling that there was a lot of inequity, and that does not create a good community of practice. It does not create a school where everyone is willing to kind of pitch in extra because they know everyone's working hard. So I think that definitely affected the school environment. But that was how hybrid was working in Florida, in our county. And this year, hybrid doesn't exist. And they actually got rid of it in our county around Christmas time, which is around the end of one semester. So I'm not sure about other states. I think some might be utilizing hybrid in some other capacities, but I know that in our county and in our state, they have decided it wasn't as worthwhile, because it's like, if you want to come to school, great, come to school. But if you want to be an e-learner, be an e-learner, like choose your path, basically. You can't have best of both worlds. And then I see another question from Professor Howard about how has this affected the students psychologically? I don't think we're going to know the ramifications of all of this. And I'm sure it's true for Panama as well for years, but I can tell you that I had some students last year on a team, an academic team, for it was like a reading competition. And the previous year we went to an actual school, and we met with other students and we competed, and it was very nerdy fun. It was fantastic. And they remembered like social norms, like, when someone else is talking, you're quiet, and just how to kind of be respectful of other people. And I found that when we were just on, I think we were using, there's another program called Teams, Microsoft Teams, that I think we were using. And they were just nonstop chit chat, even though we were in a meeting. And I'm like, girls, because it was just a team of girls at this time. I'm like, girls, you have to be quiet and listen to the person that's teaching you right now. And they're like, and then they would just start talking again. And I think it was just like, because they had been at home for the school year as e-learners, they just kind of forgot about social norms. And these were like 4 brainy, smart, well-read little girls, so they just, because of being out of that context, I'm sure that we're going to find that that some kids are going to struggle with this kind of social norms, but also just how to behave in certain capacities, or even how to make friends correctly. So much of our development is spent with other people, and here's what I say that hurts someone's feelings, and I don't say that anymore because I realize that has ramifications, and suddenly we don't see other kids for a year, and they get back with other kids and they're like, oh, wait, that wasn't very nice to say, or just kind of recognizing how to behave appropriately, I think will be one of the most interesting things to monitor. And then I can't speak to just how, you know, I think we really will find out in years just how much kids will be affected, especially because I know we are all adults and we've been affected by this. And at least we have the hindsight to look back and kind of say, okay, this is what is appropriate, and here's the future, and there's hope. But some kids are kind of living in this thinking this is life, and it's got to be somewhat dismal for them. All right, I see another question. How can we establish or create a hybrid routine on our students? So is that the plan? Is that you guys are going to develop a hybrid program? Or is it just a... I mean, I think that the best thing you can do is just develop a routine, whether it's in person or online, and just be consistent with it. And there's going to be fluctuations, especially in the first 2 weeks, that I think you can kind of hammer out and make clear to the students, particularly if we're talking about the university students, they can handle it. I know that elementary would struggle more with dramatic changes, but I would say that just really kind of make it clear that these are the expectations, and then just stick to it, especially after 2 weeks of trying to modify things. Does that sort of answer the question? I'm not sure.
Yes,
Okay.
it says yes.
Yes.
Hi, Kelly.
thank you.
This is Professor Narila. Thank you very much for being with us again, as always.
Oh,
Even now, you know, distance, but anyway, it is exactly the same. We are seeing you and we're very happy that you are with us again. Some of your friends are here. Glad to see you.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much to Ms. Chamber for her words.
If you guys didn't notice, I am pregnant.
Yeah, we noticed.
I
Congratulations.
haven't just gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Arely is gone.
Okay, let's start with the conferences prepared for today. But first, it is important to detail the symposium procedure. Each speaker will have 15 minutes to share their knowledge with the audience. Then we will start with a question and answer section for a period of 10 minutes. The questions will be typed in the chat box by the listeners and then selected and read by Gloria Hernandez and Brigitte Aisprua.
It is appropriate at this time to call our first presenter, Professor Howard Velasquez. Mr. Velasquez has been involved with the Universidad de Panama for several years. Among other degrees, Mr. Velasquez holds a master's degree in applied linguistics of the English language and is currently finishing a second master's degree in linguistics of the English language with specialization in didactics. Professor Velasquez's topics for today is translation theory and performance reality. Let's listen.
Thank you, and let me share my screen with you guys in a minute. Let me know if you can hear me well and see my presentation.
Yes, Professor Howard.
Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining the meeting. I think my presentation is not going to be as exciting as the previous one with a lot of information. I'm going to say this to start. I'm not a professional translation, but live plays you in different ways. And during this pandemic, thinking about many things, I ended up doing a little bit of translation for an international company. And that's why I wanted to bring this topic to you all. Let's see. I wanted to start with this quote. I believe the essence of translation lies in taking what is unsaid in a word from one language to another. Words have memories, a history of their own. There are no two words with exactly the same meaning. To recreate the unspoken in another language, one needs to understand what went into making the original. Then one must dismantle it and rebuild it in another language. By Chamblain. I agree and I disagree with this. That's my thought, and actually this is according to my perspective. Maybe you agree with this quote, but I sort of agree and disagree. But let's continue with this. Translation. It has its roots with the history of mankind. And I have a question for you all. I need someone to answer the question for the next image that I have. It's this one. How do you think is translation related to this image? TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. Someone?
Yeah, sure, because in there you can see a woman and a girl. So two different things that I can see, but what I see first is the thing that I, really care about.
So we can see two different women in here. One is young and the other one is a little older. And I think this is very related to what I've been reading and doing during translation. It depends on how I see my mood on translation. I will be doing translation because, as you know, we have different techniques, approaches, and things like that. So that's what we're going to be seeing in a brief. And so you can have a little theory. Translation as a science is a discipline which studies the translation process and the text produced as a result of this process with all its details. Professor Luckman, 2017. Anton Popovic, 1997, said that translation theory is a science that studies the systematic examination of translation, and therefore its job is to structure the translation process and the text. By the 20th, the morphological opinion prevailed by stating that translation depends on the source text, which depends on the word regardless the content. Nowadays, this is another definition. Translation seen under the new approach is not only translating the word, but conveying the main idea and the text source language and the target recipient. I agree with this last one. And actually, it's one of the principles that we have in translation, actually professional translators. 6 contemporary approaches to translation. The sociological approach, it mainly says, we determine with this approach what can be and cannot be translated depending on this, we can censor or not. Communicative approach, meaning that most meaning must be translated into instead of language, and the hermeneutic approach. George Steiner, this is a big investigator in translation, states that any human communication is a translation, and I agree with that. Therefore, a translation should become a writer to capture what the authors mean to say, and I also agree with that. The other one is the linguistic approach, which says that we should be translated language by its fundamental units, the word itself, the syntagma, and the sentence. Literary approach, translation should be done by considering the cultural experience. This is very true in my opinion. And semiotic approach, this science should consider signs and signification, the meaning between a sign, an object, and an interpreter, sociocultural context. I also agree with this, and I'm gonna tell you why when I have the examples for you. Theories, intralingual translation, rewording of sign in the same language, interlingual translation, interpreting the language, sign with another language, and intersemiotic translation, transmutation, transfer the sign of the language to a non-verbal sign system, art or music. Edwin Gensler. Translation technology. Here's what I try to do, base my investigation a little bit. We know there are many computers and softwares that we can use to do translation. I use only two, I'm not gonna mention them, but it's related to this quote by Hutchin, 1999. Human translators are not prepared and resent being asked to produce rough translations of scientific and technological documents. I think when he talks about technological, he's talking about legal documents, medicine, and some other topics that are very high worthy, that may be read by only one person who wants to merely find out the merely content and information and is unconcerned whether everything is intelligible or not, and who is certainly not deterred by stylistic awareness of grammatical errors. So he's talking about translation should be, don't just, translate this, and if you can only grasp the main idea, it's okay. I don't believe that. When you do translation as professional, you should be translating as good as possible, attached to the main source. So this is a test that I did, and the red sections are the ones that we're gonna be translating together. I like to work with people doing, when I teach, and this is what I do. Online translation tools. I use and I translated the red section. How would you translate the red section for the first one? Anyone? I know you're not professional translators, not certified, but I would like some help over here. This is what we're gonna be doing, so on and on. Nobody? Hello, where are my friends? Where are my colleagues? No one? Okay, this is what I did. It's online, using online tools. Let's see. Results. Máster en francés con especialización en traducción. Maestrías en artes en francés con especialización en traducción. Maestrías. I don't think that it's accurate with what we saw first, because it says master, it's only one. And for the other one, seleccione un tema, un asunto, cuestión, seleccione un problema. Those were the results given by these two online tools. I asked some of my friends, I don't know if they're in this meeting, and they are professional translators, but I never told them this was, I was gonna present this. I never told them what was the purpose, nothing. So I asked them, help, can you do this for me? And this is what I have. Maestría en Filosofía Francesa con especialización en traducción. As in, you can see, I put it over here so we can, see the original text over here. Maestría en Lengua Francesa con especialización en traducción. Maestría en Francés con especialización en traducción. Maestría en Humanidades de la Lengua Francesa con especialización en traducción. I did the last one. And in I can, restructure the whole sentence, but I think it changes the meaning. I'm not conveying the main idea for what I put in red. What do you think is the best one? I don't know, it can be right or not. I'm not the one to judge anybody. What do you think? Which one would you pick? 1, 2, 3, 4. Being one.
Number 4.
Number 4. Thank you. It seems that I'm a good translator then. Let's see the other one. Reality, seleccione un tema. Select the issue. You can see it over here. This is what I put on the online translator. And let's see what is this about? How do you think it was translated by the tools? What is the issue over here? Can you guess what I was looking for?
Mainly, hello, Howard.
Yes.
Mainly if you are using an app, it's because you are that the machine is translating word by word, and this is not the
And that's
goal.
exactly. And Ms. Wetsaida, thank you for that. That's literal translation, translating word by word. So let's see, this is what I was looking for. Select an issue. And this is the issue. Front page issue, July 7th. So in that date, I have a lot of different articles, okay? So that's the issue over there. I think it relates to the date it was published, not actually to a tema or a question or a problema, but to the publishing date. So it's not translating. When we do translation using online tools, I'm not against using online tools. Don't get me wrong. I usually use online tools, but I usually read all the translations that I usually do because I don't trust on, even though they're becoming very good right now. Now let's go to English to Spanish translation punctuation. This is what I do in my other international job. This is what I do. I check the original source and I check the translation. I was hired to do that and to get this information as accurate as possible. So how would you translate? Antonio said, I'm not going to the party. You can write it. You can type it on the chat. That would be a lot better. I think you're not going to have all the figures, but in the second one, we're going to be giving emphasis to the car. What a car he has bought. Maybe this will baffle your mind. Antonio dijo, no iré a la fiesta. Can you see the quotations? The ones in English, those are in English quotation, and the ones below are Spanish quotations. So those are the ones that we should be using. Let's look at the other one. Antonio dijo, vaya el carro, with an emphasis. I'm using double quotation at the beginning and simple quotation to emphasize the word that I want to emphasize. And then, que se ha comprado, close quotation, and the period, it's at the end in Spanish and not in English. So we need to be very careful when we're doing translation, and things that we need to know is the subject matter and to whom we are translating. That's very important to take into account. So according to Culture Connections, there are some impossible words to translate. I have some example. Abbiocco, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't know Italian. If someone is Italian, please help. Culazzino, I don't know how to pronounce the German one and not even the Portuguese one. Saudade, I don't know. And this is what you're gonna be thinking right now in few seconds. How would you translate in one word, Abbiocco and Culazzino? One word, people, one. I don't want too many words. Read the Abbiocco, drowsiness caused by too heavy meals. Elias, you're not allowed to talk for this one, okay? And Azira and the other was in my group. Culazzino, the mark left on the table by cold drinks. Fern wedge, I don't know, nostalgia, nostalgia, I made a mistake, for distant countries or countries that you have never been. How can you have that feeling? I didn't know that. And the last one, to feel nostalgia, it's the translator from the computer, for a place, person, on, or time in the past, present, or future. Let's see. Give me your answers for the first one, Abbiocco. What it would be that one word? Think, people. I think I'm the only one in this call.
No, I'm here. I'm here too.
If you can see, I check over here and I have my presentation. Don't think that I'm giving you, I'm just looking at all you. And I'm seeing people smiling, thinking, having question marks all over the place. Okay, these are some of the answers because I asked my mother and some other people. My mother said mococoya. Someone else said mococoa. Someone else said moridera. Imagine that. How I would use moridera in a translation. I have a moridera right now. Can you imagine that, people? No, some people are not gonna be able to understand that. Or a mococoa. 2 words, pesadez estomacal, somnolencia alimenticia, but not 1 word for abocacino. What about culazino? I'm still waiting for the answers. You're muted, Miss Vanessa. Hello, Miss Vanessa. Are you gonna say something? Well, let's continue. Maybe she can give us feedback at the end. And zurrón, do you know what is a zurrón? It's a very Panamanian word. Source language. People from my country, for saying something, from Azuero, they should know what is a zurrón. Mr. Eladio and the others, what is a zurrón?
It has different connotation, but it's also with when 2 cars, you know, crashes each other.
Yes.
Like, me dio un zurrón.
Yes.
Then when you cook and you prepare something really delicious, the people in your house say, okay, I want the zurrón de la paila, something
There
like
you
that. Really, that's why I'm smiling, because it's, you know.
Thank
really
you so much, Miss
interesting.
Claudia. And you see, she had 2 different connotations for this, but I'm talking about this. Zurrón are these 2 bags over here, made of cow leather. And it was used in the past by our people in the countryside. So we need to know content in order to
You muted yourself, Howard. You're mute.
Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
There are some technical issues. Some people are offline now. Oh, come on. We are missing people.
It was for all of us or just for me?
No, a group of people, They are having problem with internet. Okay, no problem. Okay. I prefer to wait, like, I don't know, Eladio, are you there? Howard, continue. Yeah, Howard is back. Howard, you're muted. Yeah.
You have to open your microphone.
Yes, sorry for that. I think all of us were disconnected. Too many, too emotional right now, right? Can you see my presentation?
No.
No, let me present again. This one, share. Let me know when you can see it. Nothing?
Yes,
Now
now we can see that.
Yes, Howard.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry for that. You know, this is teaching online also. So how would you translate, now that you know the word, how would you translate this word? Would you translate? That was the question at the beginning. How would you translate that? Ideas? I love ideas from everywhere.
Well, the
No.
thing is, I didn't even know the name was that one. I don't even know those things. So I cannot translate. I have no idea.
Thank you, Professor Nadila.
So
Let's
it's
go to
hard.
something easier then. Let's see. Oops. Let me see. Yeah. This one. Translation of geographical names, countries, cities, and others. How would you translate that list? Londres, Inglaterra, Suiza, Suecia, España.
London,
I think everyone.
England, Switzerland. Oh, Switzerland, and the other one is what?
Spain.
Swedish probably, and Spain.
Easy peasy, right? Now What about this then? What is the difference? Guadalajara, Chicago, Chile, Peru, Panama. Translate that for me then. How would you
The
translate
same.
that? The same? Why? Hello, people. Is anyone there? People, go ahead.
We cannot translate those words.
Why not if we were translating Londres and Swiss and Inglaterra? Those are words.
Mainly, I think, I'm not sure, but mainly it's because of the all these places, they have Spanish speakers.
What about Spain? They have Espanol and they have
Oh,
Catalan.
yeah, really?
Ah, there you go. I went through that one too. So now let's see why then I have seen Panamá la Vieja, Canal de Panamá, Canal de Suez, and Canal de la Mancha into this. Old Panama, Panama Canal, Suez Canal, English Channel. English Channel, I don't see the relationship between English Channel and Canal de la Mancha. I don't see any stain over there. How was that translated? Do you think Old Panama has the same meaning to you as your identity as to have or hear Panamá la Vieja? It has the same feeling to you?
No.
Does it is
No.
the same thing? I don't think it's the same.
Absolutely not.
It's totally off the table. It's not the same thing. And actually, I wouldn't translate this because of this. This is my thought. Everyone has a name, right? Miss Darelis, your name is Miss Darelis. Nader, Edgar, Claudia, Chusca, Gloria. Would you like me to call you by, let's say, Gloria, your name now is gonna be Marcela or Patricia because I want to? I don't think so. I don't go with that. Help me out. This is your turn. And again, Susan no dijo ni pío. Translate pío to me.
Nothing.
Nothing. Se la pasa, habla que habla. What is se in this sentence?
It refers to the person.
Yes, and he or she.
Exactly.
El público empezar a dar gritos. So how can you give a grito away? If you don't know the source language, if you don't know the target language, you're gonna have these issues. So you're gonna be giving gritos away to everyone who passes by? I don't think so. Al ver la factura, uso de factura. He, she, them, I don't know. Se quejó vivamente y puso el grito al cielo. How do you put a grito over there in the sky? You see? These are things that we need to be paying attention to. And to conclude and not have you bored, translation do not concern a comparison between two languages, but the interpretation of two texts in two different languages. Interpreting means making a bet on the sense of a text, among other things. Translation is always a shift, not between two languages, but between two cultures or two encyclopedias. This is why I will tell you something. Everyone, I'm sorry for that. Every time I hear someone asking someone else who knows Spanish or English or any other language, they ask, are you a bilingual? There's so many definitions to be a bilingual. I said, no, I'm not. I am not a bilingual person because I need my social, cultural, and community background in order to understand the language indeed. The hidden information in the language. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to interpret actually the language. Some words of interest for you: exonym, endonym, syntax, paradigm, aesthetic, signifier, signified, semiotic, neologism, and some of the sources that I use for this presentation. Hope you liked it. And thank you everyone for joining. I really invited a lot of people. I don't know if you have questions for me.
Yes, Professor, we do have some questions in the chat room.
Please be nice.
Okay.
Remember, I'm not an official certified translator.
The first question is this. What is your opinion about Google Translator? Is it trustworthy?
I use Google Translation, but I usually read all my translations. I usually use Google Translation with the context, not by a word. And I look for other translators to see if there's any, similarity between the information that I've been given by Google translators and other translators. That's what I do.
Okay, perfect. Another question we have here is this. How effective are CAT tools? How effective are CAT tools?
As I said before, and I sort of agree with one of the quotes that I have, I better, trust myself, my insight, my friends, my colleagues, when I'm doing translation. I don't know everything, and my friends can always give me any insights of a better translation. Some of the principles in translations are, as I said, knowing the target language, knowing the subject language, knowing the subject matter, and some other elements. But friends and some other people from other countries or experience can give you insights about a good translation and not to rely on online translators. Hello, Professor Miguel. Nice to see you now.
Thank you very much to Howard Velasquez. Please give a big round of applause to Howard Velasquez for sharing his knowledge with us.
I cannot hear anyone, but it's fine. Thank you, everyone.
Let's call now Professor Zuleima Palacios.
But before that, let's welcome Professor Miguel, our coordinator of the school. Thank you for joining, Professor Miguel.
Thank you very much for having me here, especially my apologies. Being a daycare that day for me. So
oh boy.
Yeah, so sorry about that. Sorry about thank you all. It's great to see you again. Grad students, also some friends like Kelly, a long time I don't see. So it's good to know that you're also part of the crew of recent dads and moms, right? Great presentations, and well, I don't want to actually interrupt more the conference. It's been fluent. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel, and welcome. Let's call now Professor Zuleima Palacios. Miss Palacio Jimenez is from Comarca Nove Bugle. She studied a BA in teaching at Instituto Superior Juan Demóstenes, Arosemena, and a BA in English at Centro Regional Universitario de Veraguas. She has a master in applied linguistics at Universidad de Panama and a master in higher education at UNACHI. Professor Palacios has experience in teaching at all academic levels. She is taking a master in linguistics of the English language with specialization in didactic at Universidad de Panama to achieve another professional goal. Today, Professor Palacios' chosen topic is Best Writing Centers, Advantages for Your Writing. Let's pay attention.
Good morning, professors, special guests, colleagues. Well, as you see, I'm going to talk about best writing centers. And I'm going to begin with this quote that says, write what disturbs you, what you fear, what you have not been willing to speak about. Be willing to be split open. Natalie Goldberg. Listen, write what disturbs you, what you fear. Most of the time when a professor talks about writing, students get fear. So if you are a university student, you are going to get through a journey that entails a lot of writing tasks. It doesn't matter if you are a great writer or you are facing hard time writing, this information may help you. So Writing centers are not only for those students who dream of becoming the next William Shakespeare or Stephen King. Therefore, we are going to understand how writing centers work, what are some of the best writing centers, what are some online writing centers, and some advantages for your writing. So the first question that comes to my mind is, what are writing centers? Well, educational institutions create writing centers as part of writing programs to support this special group of people. If you see here, the first in the line is undergrads. I'm going to stop a little bit here because many students think that the only group of students who need help or extra help are first year students. It is not a fact because undergrads means from first year to seniors. At all levels, students can find useful tools to improve their writing. In addition, we have grad students, faculty, postdoctoral fellows, university staff, people from all major. The goal is to support them, regardless their writing proficiency, to find their writing voice, to face writing challenges, to draw writers outside of themselves, to improve their sense of audience, to find weaknesses and find further improvements that are required. Many writing centers offer individual tutoring to support students to understand how readers are likely to see their papers or react to their writing. The purpose, of course, is to improve their writing skills. But who are the members or the staff of these writing centers? As you can see here, they are professionals and trained students. Writing coaches offer recommendations and suggestions for future coursework, essays, and academic papers. And writing consultants are trained students in peer monitoring and collaborative learning. They are not experts yet, but all of them have expertise in various topics. So it is a great platform for sharing information and get support in various topics. So when is the most effective time to contact a writing consultant? Where the answer is anytime when you are unsure about your paper, your essay, your draft, your editing. You don't have to wait until the last minute to ask for help. This platform offers suggestions in a variety of fields, let's say law, literature, science. So you don't have to wait or waste your time because you have to take advantage of time to check feedbacks and recommendations to improve your writing. Now, almost every university has a writing center, but what are the best writing centers? Let me show you, according to Jagger 2020, the first one, which is Harvard University Writing Center in Massachusetts. It offers very experienced tutors, seminars, and lectures aimed at improving writing skills. The second one, before to continue, Harvard University pays a lot of attention to quality in every aspect of their academic activity. So we have to pay attention to this point. The second one is Yale University Writing Center. It's here. It offers tutorials, seminar, expert essay writers, and tutorial for students to improve their writing skills. There are some of the points that they share because, you know, I don't have enough time to explain all the features that those writing centers offers. In addition, we have the third one, which is University of Writing Center in Texas. It offers professional assistance from professors. I'm sorry for the noise. And one-on-one. And one-on-one tutorial for students to become expert writers. In addition, this university organizes events for undergrads and grad students every month. So this is a great detail that I have to mention now. The next one is the Writing Place in Illinois. It offers informative peer writing consultants and seminars and lectures, also aimed at improving writing. It has writing programs for undergrads and beginners, and also creative writing programs for undergrads and grad students. And the last one is Columbia College Writing Center. It is located in New York. It has high quality resources in various topics such as academic and creative writing. Let's take a look at this thought. You fail only if you stop writing. Ray Bradbury. I really like this one because due to COVID-19, many universities have had to rethink what to preserve as writing centers move online. So according to Dr. Bell 2020, they have to keep in mind the most important thing, which is the writing center ethos. And he provides an overview of the strength of online tutoring. He said that despite all these changes, what they have to preserve is the writing center ethos, which is the way they approach students and give them the opportunities to improve their writing, even though the distance or difficulties that we are facing through this pandemic. So the main concern now is not to keep that face-to-face dynamic, but rather to change in online space the tutoring practices. As a result, many universities now have online writing centers with web-based resources. Some of them are ESL websites, forums, corpora, online corpora, and also online OLS. OLS is the term for Writing Libraries Lab, Writing Centers Lab. So what I want to do now is to show you 5 of them. Universities offer free accessible OLS for all people who are eager to understand more the writing practices, the teaching and learning process. So here you have 5 of them. The first one is Guide to Grammar and Writing, sponsored by the Capital Community College Foundation. It is aimed to provide resources for teaching and learning grammar and writing. There you can find many PDF files that support your teaching or learning based on 3 different categories or levels. The first one is word and sentence level, paragraph level, and the last one is essay level. So if you are on those 3 levels, you can check there to see what else you can find interesting for your writing, of course. The second one is writing at Colorado State University. Here there is a special section called Teaching Activity Bank for teachers and professors to find PDF files for group activities and peer review. In addition, you can find information about writing and research. The third one is the Excelsior College O. It is an attractive site where you can find information about L2 writing, plagiarism, essay zone, digital writing, and even more topics. So I can say that I have the opportunity to check all those sites in advance, and I could find every interesting books, resources, and links. The fourth one is Writing at the University of Toronto. Here you can find information about ESL writing issues and also style, editing, plagiarism, and so more. And the last one is Purdue. I heard Professor Nadella talking about this site, and I can recommend you because you can find information about general writing, academic writing, research, format. When I say format, I talk about APA, MLA, and more formats there. So you can find information not only for your teaching, but also for your writing and learning purposes. So here you have some of those sites only for you to see how they look like. This is the Writing at Colorado State University. Here you have many links for you to keep practicing your writing and learning activities. This one is the Excelsior Online Writing Lab. If you can see here, there is more information about citation, styles, and so on. The University of Toronto, here you have more information about mechanics, writing, so you can verify the information I'm sharing with you. And the last one, Purdue Writing Lab. Of course, you have many information here that you can use in your future writings. So we get to this point. The advantages for your writing. First, I have to say that the main purpose of A writing center is to help students to understand their writing task, to learn how to draft a thesis, make outlines, edit papers. So many interactions occurs during these sessions. Students get access to cognitive and affective interactions, in addition to others like thinking, listening, writing, and reading that improve their learnings. I can say that tutors and writers can get in contact with fewer distractions due to time and distance. So of course we have to point this out. Another advantage that I can mention is that students can make meaning and construct knowledge through verbal and non-verbal exchanges. According to Middlebrook 2015, asynchronous and recorded synchronous online tutorial help writers to return to and review feedback in ways that reinforce their learning. In addition, writing centers promotes individual and collaborative learning because tutors and students can work together to face fears and face challenges, writing challenges in this case. Now, I can say that some of the most effective learning tools are not words, and some of the best exchanges in learning and teaching do not take place in real time or in person. It is a platform that supports many collaborative works and promote cognitive interactions on weekly basis. So it is part of the academic life of many universities around the world. Following this line, we can become active participants or promoters of this project. This is a great project for our university, so we can become part of this as administrators, professors, students, writers, tutors, in order to promote the quality of our academic papers at Universidad de Panama and especially at CRUF. So now you have the opportunity to ask some questions. I'm willing to answer those.
Okay, there is a question for you. Do you consider we can run a project like that at CRUF for the BA program? And what is your opinion about our students' reading and writing skills?
First, of course, we can work on this project because I know there are so many experts, writers, poets. And yes, of course, students at university have skills that unfortunately we don't have the platform to use them, to promote them, to encourage them, to help them improve as professionals. Remember, I have to mention that writing centers help all students to become better professionals, professors, students, and citizens. So of course, we can work on this project and put a piece of that huge, we can say, cake, right?
Okay, thank you very much to Professor Palacio. Please give a big round of applause to Professor Palacios.
Our next presenter is Professor Nader Suleiman. Professor Nader Suleiman has almost 20 years working for the education of this country. Professor Nader has not stopped expanding his knowledge and updating himself in technology and TESOL. He is studying the Master of Linguistics at the University of Panama. He is a professor at the University of Panama, Zona branch. On this occasion, Professor Suleiman has prepared his dissertation on the topic, the role of information and communication technology, ICT, in EFL writing projects. Let's welcome Professor Nader.
Hello. Good morning, dear colleagues, professors, special guests. I have the pleasure to present one important topic. The name of this is the role of information and communication technology, or ICT, in EFL writing. My quotation, well, is that if you are here in this moment, paying attention to different presentation, is because you want to grow, to participate in symposium, conference. That is a manifestation that you are in the right place. It's because you want to grow. It's because you want to expand your knowledge. So I appreciate you be here with us. I appreciate your time you're investing. It's not expending, it's investing time here in this type of conferences. So thank you for being here, all participants, audience, colleagues, and professors. Okay, I want to start my presentation. Well, sorry, here I have some technical things here. Yeah, the United Nations, sorry, one question. Can you see my presentation?
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
yes,
Yeah, that's happened because one day I was in a conference, 30 minutes before they told me, Prophet, the screen is off. Okay, the United Nations Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, define ICT as the range of technology that are applied in the process of collecting, storing, editing, retrieving, and transfer information. ICT is not just for cell phones or computer. ICT involves many other aspects like storing, like communication, like the internet. So people relate ICT just with computer and electronic devices. This is wrong. Information and communication technology has stimulated the growth of the global economy. ICT is a reality in our society. ICT is part of our life. You can see ICTs in every aspect of the human civilization. During in 2012, and my person, when I was working in Comarca Sitio Prado, I can perceive this interest by technology, in this case by indigenous students from Sitio Prado. And that is something that's called my attention, and probably that will be a wonderful opportunity for research in the future. As I already told you, ICT involves many aspects of human civilization, technology, transportation, logistic, electronic, entertainment, and many aspects. Every day we have new devices, new components. Devices are smaller, devices are stronger. Internet connection is every day. Cable onda, where Tigo in this case, send you emails claiming that you have more internet speed. And this kind of aspect, this is part of evolution. I remember probably other colleagues from my age. Well, I'm not too old, but I remember I was from the era of cassettes. I don't know if you remember cassettes or VHS. Yeah, every year we have a new device. Every time we have a new technology. And to go in the same rhythm of the technology growth is a challenge. It's a challenge for teachers, it's a challenge for students, and it's a challenge for every person in this era. I can see my dad. My dad is a 70 years old guy. He's using YouTube, he's connecting internet, and he's using WhatsApp. And that is what I want to say. There is a propaganda or advertisement allá in front of Autocentro. Ahora todos estamos en la era digital. I don't know if you watch this poster. It's a very old woman, sorry, chatting or using a high device electronic cell phone. All right, so that's very important to let you know. The idea of using technology, the technology is not new. I remember Martín Torrijos, the program Conéctate al Conocimiento. I remember our President Ricardo Martinelli and other presidents invest million of our, how can I say, $1 million of our money in technology and investing, but many professors, they ignore the capability of using technology, and now it's the time of using technology. And not all professors, many professors, they don't have competencies to teach their classes in virtual modality, and that is a shame. But technology is not something new, and it's a shame that sometimes students know more about technology or more about ICT than the professors. Yes, actually, you can see here, that's a picture called my attention. It's a computer with a book. Actually, I don't remember how many PDF of books I have on my computer. I tried to organize them, but 10 years ago, I didn't have any book. Now I have many books, full books. And that is something that changed the rule of the game. And that's something that we have to announce, that many people have access to the information. Actually, ICT and education, I already told you, it's not about electronic, it's about many other aspects, and how you use the information, because this is the ICT culture. I don't know if you are able to see some memes and advertisement on internet about mentioning about dangers about using technology, but benefit is important to let you know about the benefit of using ICTs. ICT changed the world. ICT changed many things. I think ICT is an amplifier about what your intention. I want to repeat this, colleagues, because it's important. ICTs is an amplifier about what you are as professional. If you are mediocre and if you don't like to do the work, ICT evidence all your weaknesses and all your strengths. So ICT is an amplifier, and ICT is not negative or is positive. ICT is just a tool, it's not everything. Yeah. Continue here with the Prezi. That's a courtesy. We learned to use Prezi in Professor Juan Carlos classes. I don't know if Professor Juan Carlos is there. What is writing? Here we are with my, this important skill. What is writing? According to Heathcock, I don't know if you remember Heathcock in our writing classes and ferries. It's a both. It's a physical and it's a mental act. It's a physical because you have to use a representation, physical representation about what you have in your mind, and it's mental because you have to process information. It has cognitive function because you have to organize ideas. It's a purpose, it's both, is because to express your feeling, to express your emotion, and impress what you have in your mind, right? It is both, it's a process and it's a product. Writing, in many projects, in writing projects as journals and researches, is a process. It's not writing by writing, and it's a product because you use writing in your daily life, and that is very interesting to mention, my dear audience. Yeah, wait a minute here. Yeah. Writing is generally considered the most difficult of the four skills. It's very difficult to write. This is not writing by writing. Actually, people feel confidence because they don't know how to use Google Translator or DeepL or any other. But we cannot ignore the human component, other component like the unity and other aspects that involve the syntax, the semantic. This is not developed by any software or application yet. Probably in the future, we can have more tools about writing as the speed that is growing is very interesting, and probably in the future, but actually there are not reliable tools that help you to fix the syntax or the semantic about a writing project, and that's very important. The human component is we cannot ignore humanity yet. It's very early, and ICT doesn't have the development to replace human being in writing. Learning to write well takes a lot of practice and patience. Students need clear guidance, positive feedback, and interest idea to write about. That's manifest Semak and Islam in 2005. This is not because you know how to use DeepL or you are a master in Grammarly, you are a champion in writing. That's not true. It's important too to mention the process of writing, right? According to Semak and Rumisek in 2003, and many authors have different ideas about the process of writing. Most common is pre-writing, drafting, reviewing and revising, and rewriting. That's very common. And probably you know more about me about in this field, that is the writing art, right? The pre-writing is the brainstorm period with your ideas, you organize idea, the drafting, and that's very important. When we write, we do more than just put words together to make sentences. Good writers go through several steps to produce a piece of writing. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, because writing is a process. In academic work, in academic project, writing is not writing by writing. It's a process that you have to respect rules. You have to respect the literature about this. Each English and each culture has a paragraph order unique to itself. That's we learn in Professor Miguel classes. Part of the learning of particular language is a mastery of its logical system. That's Manifest Kaplan in 1966, a long time, right? So every language has a different way to express the writing. Here in Kaplan 1966, it's a very popular graphic. You can see here the English language here. Let me share with you here the pointer. Here is the English, right? Is a line. Here's the semiotic that involve Arabic, Hebrew, Oriental, that is from Asia, China, Romance that include Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian, right? It's important to you be clear about that, because every culture process the information, the written information, in a different way. In our case, we are learning English. You cannot write, you cannot express your ideas in Spanish with a Romance language, and that's in English, because they have some different components, and we have to pay attention for that. It's not impossible to learn it, but require time, instructions, and many other things that you as a learner, you cannot ignore, my dear audience. Here, I have another graphic from Bortman and Friedenberg in 2008. Here you can see a graphic about English. This is what I will write about. I am writing about this, and what I wrote about. Sorry, I have some technical problem here. And here, I don't want to zoom every graphic because it's a little tricky for me here to manage. Here is the organization of Spanish. This is something different. It will make my paper more interesting. Spanish are more dramatic, more explosive, right? You can compare the structure according to Borman and Friedenberg, the Spanish organization and the English organization. Here, check it out, the Japanese organization, or many other Asian way of writing. Here is another hint. Here is another hint, sorry. And I don't want to say my topic. That is part of their culture. And Arabic, I want to represent because I evidence that. I evidence that because I have my family Arabic. Sorry for laughing because that's funny. Here is my point. Here are my point again, and here are my point again, and that's totally, I can support that. Well, I have evidences about that. Yeah. Here, that's a brief about the culture. We cannot ignore culture in writing. Internet has made written communication essential for business, education, and many other fields, my dear students. Students, my dear audience. In this case, internet, you can pay attention here. Wait a minute here. You can pay attention that internet made essential for business, for education, and many other fields. We cannot ignore the role of writing in society. I have something I wrote for you. I wrote this for you. If it's incorrect, please at the end you can make that's illiterate. Illiterate is a person that that he doesn't know how to write, or he doesn't, is like analfabeta in Spanish, right? Never in the history, that's my quote. It's a copyright, probably it's wrong, but it's copyright, okay? This is mine. Never in the history of humanity has the human being so interconnected and we are now. And it's the worst time to be illiterate. May you imagine all the people laughing about memes and you don't understand the memes because you don't understand? Oh my God, it's a shame, right? Now memes are part of culture, Twitter, Instagram, and etc. Yeah, and we continue the path, right? The role of information and communication technology by your server, Nader Suleiman. Here continue our presentation with the pandemic. Actually, in 2020 happened something outstanding in the world. The academic cycle of various levels in the educational system collapsed. No education, no face-to-face session, no real interaction, and that's historical. That's historical. Never in the history happened something similar. Probably in the past, we have like pandemic, but actually things are different. Check it out. That is from Da Vinci in 2020, that actually technology come to support people. That is the laboratory. It's like, this is very similar to the English lab in the UP crew, right? Don't you think? Yeah. Wait a second here. ICT is very much helpful to teachers and students. Do these tools teaching learning process become more easy and education? ICT play a vital role in facilitating teaching and learning. They have transformed classroom, communication method, and modify instructional strategy. People, the pandemic have to reinvent many things. People reinvent their own life. Business has changed. The economy has changed. The democracy has changed. Education doesn't escape of this reality. I'm very sure that at the end of pandemic, many professors and students will continue using the ICTs for their academic purposes. I'm very sure about that. I'm very sure. Wait a minute here. I'm not very practical with Prezi, but I'm trying to do my best, all right? Yeah. Here we are, here we go. Okay, wait a minute here. Most common ICT tool for writing is the word processors, the dictionaries, translator, grammar checker, plagiarism checkers, and editors. This experience is my experience in SONA. Probably reality in Los Santos is different, or in Chitre is different, or in Panama different, because probably it's a future topic for a research in the future, that not all the people in the same area use the same tools. I don't know what happened there. Probably could be interesting to know. Well, this is about people in SONA. That is a place where I work. For word processors, people use Google Docs because they use cell phones, and Google Doc open magically Google Docs because Android is part of Google. Microsoft Word is the classic word processor. OpenOffice and Pages, that is from Apple industry, that is a good one. I use that. The dictionaries that people use in Zona is Wiktionary, is from the people from Wikipedia, and word references and dictionary. People, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sure that you have your favorite software, but those software I'm sharing, they have something in common. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to make a question about what things they have in common, and that's interesting. In the chat box, I pay attention that people in Los Santos or in other place use DeepL, and they are not use Google Translator. I prefer DeepL. Is that people DeepL at the end of the conference, I'm going to make some questions about what things they have in common. All apps that people use in Zona, they have in common. They have grammar checkers like Google Doc, Windows, Microsoft Word, all the time. Most of the history, they have like a grammar checker about commas, periods, and these kind of things, but it's far from being a complete grammar checker. Grammarly is very stronger, and every day Grammarly is growing and growing, strong and strong. And at the end of the conference, at the end of my presentation, I want to know, I'm going to make some questions for you, all right? Okay, and for plagiarism, that's very interesting. Many professors use plagiarism checkers, they use another one, but well, I use Grammarly, but the others use another one. But Grammarly has something very particular, but there is another as stronger. It's not for individual payment. The university has to pay for Turnitin. It's very, very, very expensive. That is Turnitin. Only Udelas in Panama is able to use Turnitin, and not all the professors have access to Turnitin. Turnitin is very complete, and they have a wonderful tool to compare. It's not about just plagiarism. The software compare homogeneity throughout different texts. But if you want to have Turnitin, you cannot have Turnitin because it's very, very expensive, thousands of dollars. And this is just for university use. And well, go ahead with this. I don't remember. I already told you before that we cannot ignore in writing projects the role of humanity. We cannot ignore humanity. I don't know if you remember our written classes with John Bichner. We learned with Professor Zamorano, Professor Sam. And that's very interesting because that is evidence that ICTs are not ready to replace the human component. And Howard mentioned, he used Google Translator for some functions, some features, but not because he need to have a final edition in human final edition. And that's what I want to share with you. Yeah, the human component. I don't know if you watched the news yesterday about the robot from Tesla. Yeah, and that's it. You remember Move and Submove? We receive different seminars about this is not writing for writing. People write in monographies or journals and like champions put in text, and this is not about. Writing has a scientific research has a fundamental things that you have to take in consideration. And in our writing classes, we practice a lot about that. They're about the Move and Submove, and there are other professors and there are other books, and there are about the use of the protocols that people use to write scientific research. I'm not like a writer, scientific writer, but that is based of my evidences. And at the end, that's my quote: no human technology can replace nature technology. Perfect over hundreds of millions of years to sustain life on Earth. The human brain is magic. The human brain is a machine that we never use all the capability we have. We just use the 30% or 20-something% of our brain capability. Try to read, try to go beyond, participate in conference, practice writing, and probably at the end of your career, you will have 100 of books on Amazon or research in the library of Kruf and Harvard or any other university. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your participation in the conference, and don't forget the role of information and communication in the EFL writing project. Thank you for your time, my dears. I don't know if you...
Thank you very much to Professor Suleiman. Let's now start with the question and answer section.
Thank you, Professor Natter. We have some questions for you. What thoughts do you have on using other resources in SLA besides the meeting apps in higher education?
Oh, may you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What thoughts do you have on using other resources in SLA besides the meeting apps in higher education?
Oh, Gloria, sorry, colleague. I don't understand your question. I cannot catch your question. May you explain the question with other word, please? I appreciate.
Perfect. The question is, we have meeting apps in higher education, but what thoughts do you have on using other resources in SLA instead of using only meeting apps?
The use of ESL apps or EFL apps is every time technology is growing, it's unstoppable and go at the same, at the same rhythm that technology is a challenge and it's expensive. For example, I told you at the end, Gloria, at the end of my conference, that the apps that people use in SONA has something in common. They have algorithms. They have the same softwares that use Facebook, WhatsApp, or Instagram to catch the people. All of these, Google Classroom, DeepL, Grammarly, they have free versions. And as the same way, all people use the free version, they are storing information to resell to the pro version. But yeah, what you mean is that true. We have a wide options to use ICTs. There are synchronous, there are asynchronous options, but it's a challenge, Gloria. It's a challenge. But that's, I don't know if this solves your question. I don't know if you have any other question there.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. One more question is, do you consider Panamanian students, professors, have developed the digital competencies to face pandemic learning time?
That's not a decision. That is not a decision, Gloria. This is not a should. It's a must. I want to repeat this. It's important. It's not a should. They must use about ICTs. This is, you have to do it. And technology is here. But I already told you that humanity is not replaceable. But here, Panamanian education, I think in my personal experience, 20 years, people and kids and teenagers and young adults, they love technology. But here the economical factor is an issue. Is sometimes economy discriminate many possibilities. I don't know if it solves your questions.
Yes, thank you, Professor.
You are welcome. It's a pleasure to share with you. Have a wonderful time. God bless you.
Please give a bigger round of applause to Professor Suleiman for such preparing this dissertation for us.
Let's call now Professor Ana Hill. Ana Lirio Hill Miranda is 25 years old. She has 7 years of experience of tutoring elementary and high school students in general subjects. Professor Hill has a postgrad degree in higher education from UDELAS and is currently taking a master's degree in applied linguistics at the University of Panama. She is currently working as an elementary school teacher in Panama City. On this occasion, Professor Hill has prepared her dissertation on the topic, the social media and the new domain of learning.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Professor Hill.
Yeah, wonderful. So I have a question for all of you guys. Do you consider her stylish or perhaps fashionable? I want to know your thoughts.
Actually, thank you for asking. It depends on the point of view of you. You're looking yourself. Style comes from yourself. That's my opinion on that. If you think you're stylish the way you're dressing, that should what matters to you.
And that is a very accurate answer. It's a matter of perspective. Personally, I don't find her stylish enough. I'm a black and white girl. But the point of this picture is that she is the original influencer. And as my topic says, the social media and the domain of education, this is a story that is relevant for today. Her name is Debbie Gibbonson, and she was an 11 years old girl who started a blog named The Rookie Style. She started reaching 30,000 readers a month and earning between $200 and $5,000 a month. She has no education in fashion designer, no money because her parents were working class. She just have passion, discipline, and of course, a social media tool, websites, blogs. If you don't consider this is still relevant, well, she is Tabby Gibbonson right now, and she's an American actress and also an American writer that just became something for fun and just sharing her thoughts and discussing the influence and the impact that uses social media. She started living her dream. And you know, social media with the buzz that we have right now in this area is to create connections, have followers, networking, you know, it's motivating people with the empowering effect. And the empowered effect is not for everyone because you need to be organic in what you're creating. So during this pandemic, I was kind of very interesting about this. I downloaded even a TikTok. And it was kind of weird because I didn't find myself downloading a TikTok and just scrolling and watch videos. But it caught my attention that TikTok is just not a tool for just dancing. It actually teaches you something. So they actually start taking some content creator and marketing courses in LinkedIn and also in how to make a blog in WordPress. Today, I will provide you some information according to the statistics for the future of the e-learning industry. And also, I will provide you how you are actually a content creator right now. And finally, I will tell you some kind of guidance for expertise to tell you how to be a successful content creator. So let's go with the statistics. According to Forbes magazine, for the 2025, the e-learning industry is gonna reach the market for $325 million. And that is a lot. And in the US e-learning market, it's gonna reach $12.81 billion. That's a lot of money. And that is a space enough for everyone. So some statistics for the pandemic, because it was kind of difficult to offering actually present education, college, the 70% of the college institutions start to creating and were concerned for the future to create online courses, bachelor degrees, postgrades. 90% of the population in the United States start shifting to online education, but the 63% start telling that was not good. And actually, it was even worse than the classroom lesson. Okay, so maybe we can see that there is a misbalance, but the 67% of remote learning students use mobile devices, which means that it's way more easier to have education online. If you're not still impressed about this data, I will suggest you to go to Google and search for the 29 astonishing statistics for the 2021. And you will see some kind of very interesting numbers that we're gonna see in the future. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, no. Now that I provide you some kind of perspective, I'm gonna tell you why everyone in this room who have an Instagram, a WhatsApp, or a TikTok is a content creator. You know, 2 Saturdays ago, I believe that Professor Nadila, and yes, Professor, I'm using you as an example, she tells us that she's going to this hotel, Hualaca, Chiriquí. I didn't pay attention more or less about that, but she posted a picture of her WhatsApp history. Her WhatsApp history was kind of a very nice view with a beautiful green side. And she actually created influence because she was sharing her content with her friends. So I want to provide you some kind of video that maybe perhaps give you the perspective that I want looking for. I put my armor on, I'll show you that you may like, what? This is not relevant at all in this industry, but it's a matter of perspective, like how we actually respond. What happened here is that woman went viral 2 weeks ago on TikTok by reaching 90.1 million of views and 1 million of likes. Is she earning money? Well, I don't know. If it's valuable content, not necessary. According to Adobe Spark, the content creator is a person who entertain or provide educational information to an audience. Do you think that maybe she is giving up entertainment? It's a matter of perspective. However, if we look the other side of the coin, I can provide you a very nice example.
I what? Have you? Have he? Has she?
Her name is I am that English teacher, and she is Mrs. James. She is an MBCT award-winning educator, and that means she's a National Board Certified Teacher Standards Educator. She started reaching 2.6 million followers and 30.2 million of likes. She has 15K persons following her on YouTube. And she's reaching a lot of people around with social media and creating content, educational content for Teach English. Is that valuable? Well, yes, it is. She's starting now creating a website to help others to reach their kind of level in English education, and she's receiving money and earning money. My point here is that it's not about the tool. Sorry, it's not about you. It's about the tool and how you're gonna use it. So now that I provide you some kind of examples about statistics in the future and how you are a content creator, I'm gonna provide you some kind of tips that according to the Sage Media, tell you how to be more successful if you're pursuing a career in the social media and you want to create more content and value organic content in the world. First, educate yourself. If you have your ethos already, in my example, I'm an English teacher. You need to educate yourself if you're gonna go to social media. It's about statistics, know some data, know some marketing, and even design, because you're creating your own impact. Find your expertise and niche. You know, we're in a bachelor degree and each subject is a niche. If you're gonna focus just only in phonetics, try to be very strategic. It doesn't matter that you're not a native speaker. There are several millions of people out there that are not native speaker, and I'm actually using phonetic as a content creator. Suck a new challenge and experience. And yes, this is a new experience, and maybe some people in the audience that are introvert are not kind of comfortable showing herself and exposing to the world. But you know, you don't have to expose you to the world. You can use your voice, and that's fine. And you can also use your blog, and you don't need to make pictures. Create and maintain your own brand. When they mean this, you need to create your brand. You need to start identify yourself. You need to find the way that you're gonna provide to your audience a difference. And this is linked with network authentically. When we're authentic, we are different than others. We are providing to our content to our audience a different kind of content that they're gonna like to see. So if you're very passionate in what you do, this is going to work for you. And continue learning. If you're in this career, you need to continue learning. There is no way in this world that we don't continue learning all the time. We learn every day something new, and maybe it's not like kind of the you like it or not, but you need to be passionate too. And that's why Debbie Givenson gave to me. She was no knowledge, no education, no nothing about fashion, but she expressed her thoughts, her passion. And now that I provide you some statistics, some kind of why you are a content creator, even if you don't like it, and how you can actually pursue this dream, maybe you need to start thinking about what Charles Bukowski said. The problem with the world is that intelligent people are just full of doubt, and while stupid ones are full of confidence. So try to think yourself if you're gonna start dancing in front of a TikTok, or perhaps you can teach someone an organic content and valuable content. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Professor Hill. Let's start the question and answer section.
Okay, there is a question for you, Professor Hill. Would you say that those instructors and educators who avoid and refuse involving themselves with new trends will get eventually left behind?
Yes, actually, it's not what it's not in my opinion. It actually happened in United States. Some of the statistics and actually college start dropping professors because social media was getting involved and they weren't able to actually develop more skills in social media. They were requiring some kind of different curriculum. Another one? Come on, bring it on.
Yeah, I think that we can continue with the presentations.
Bye, thank you.
Let's call our next presenter, Professor Marcel Delgado. Mr. Marcel Delgado is a committed believer in communicative language instruction and has worked as an English professor in different universities, including undergraduate and graduate levels for about 15 years. Mr. Delgado is also an official authorized English-Spanish translator. He completed graduate students in TESOL as well as in higher education, and he is a current participant in the Master of Arts in the field of English Linguistics offered by Centro Regional Universitario de Veraguas. Professor Delgado has selected the following topic for today's presentation. Why do we speak the way we do? A glance of society's effect on language production. Let's listen.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Darelis, for this introduction. Well, some days ago, I went to visit my family, and then I had a chance to talk to my nephew, who is a 12-year-old boy. And since we haven't been in contact for a while, we started talking about different topics, you know. But then out of the sudden, I, for some reason, decided to use the word literal, which is, as you know, a very trendy word these days here in Panama. But I did it with the intention of bonding with him or creating this rapport, you know, and create like a nice atmosphere for him to interact with me. But then I noticed I had committed a mistake, apparently, because he immediately reacted. I saw his face and he says, "Aren't you too old to speak like that?" And I started laughing. I got shocked, actually. I asked him why, but then he said, well, never mind, right? But that got me thinking about how inappropriate sometimes we are when interacting even in our mother tongue, even in Spanish. And now, what would probably be happening with our English? And we don't even realize that, right? So that is a reason why I decided to select this topic for this presentation. And then you probably are wondering now, what does it have to do with me? Well, if you are an English instructor of the language and you are concerned about the quality or the proficiency of your students in terms of the use of the language, then this is something definitely, this is something that you definitely need to consider, right? So have you ever wondered, how does the language we speak affect what others think of us? Or how do other people influence the way we speak? So why should our students be aware of these aspects? Now, these are some of the questions that we're going to be developing in this very brief presentation, right? But before starting into the educational part, I would like to summarize some general points about linguistics. There are different types of linguists, right? Some of them are concerned about the sounds of the language. Some others care more about meaning. Some other linguists care more about the structure of the language and the patterns we have to follow. But there's a fourth group of linguists that are interested in the effect that society has on the way we speak, and they are called social linguists, right? Something that we cannot deny is that there is a direct connection between society, culture, and the way we speak, right? And this is the basis of the studies that social linguists usually conduct. So basically, we can say that social linguistics is concerned with how language use interacts with or is affected by social factors. It is the study of choice. And the principal task of social linguistics is to uncover describe, and then interpret the socially motivated choices an individual makes. It is studying how or why we speak the way we do in different social scenarios, right? So, but what are these influential social factors that I just mentioned? Well, it can be the age, right? The age of the person. It can be education, socioeconomic status, also gender, hierarchy, as well as ethnicity. So all of these aspects and some others definitely influence the way we interact and the use that we make of the English language and any language that we use, right? So let's try to exemplify this through a hypothetical situation. I want you to imagine that you are the person or the shape of the person that is waiting for the doctor to see you, right? You're in a clinic, but there's a problem in this clinic. You got no cell phone signal, so you got no data in your phone, kind of bored. And for some reason, there's this awkward silence in the environment that somehow makes you want to talk to the person that is in front of you, which is this teenager, right? So how would you approach an interaction, a conversation with this teenager? What would be the topics? What language would you use? Now imagine the same scenario, but now having to speak with an older person, this older man right here. Would it be the same kind of conversations? Would your language be the same than the previous one? And what if it were a girl, right? Again, another completely different scenario, right? And what if this girl were a relative, right? A member of your family? Would you speak the same as if this person were a stranger? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't, right? So these are the kind of social effects that we have to focus on whenever we deal with social linguistics. So, but what varies exactly in this process? We usually do some changes in the way we use language, yes, but specifically in what? Well, these are the features. Sometimes we modify or vary phonemes, right? It is the way we pronounce or the accents we use to say things. We can also modify morphemes, which is the word choices we make when communicating, or the way we construct the vocabulary we use. We also might modify the structures that we use, right? Especially in terms of formality. And we could also play with meaning, right? That's another choice as well. Now, what does age have to do with this? I'm going to try to exemplify, well, only two of the aspects that I mentioned previously due to time constraints, right? But we need to understand that sometimes it is something inevitable because language definitely is a moving, right? It's a living aspect. It's a living creature, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, because we cannot control it. And it changes depending on what people does with this. So I want you to think of this, right? The way people change language is expressed not only orally, right? Not only in the way they speak, but also in the way they write. And what to say about, right? What to say about the way people text each other now with the use of technology. That is another new world, a whole new world. And when it comes to young people, believe me, we all know that they are the most creative ones when doing that, all right? So let's give you just an example of this. I'm gonna give you some seconds to try to decode this text message, right? Try to decode, try to understand what it says. That's a text message that was composed by a teenager. And by the way, this is not from me, it is provided from Poet Ali. So any ideas? Can you understand some of the words expressed here, of the meaning expressed here? Well, if you can't, then probably it means that you are getting old, right?
Yeah, I can give it a try.
Yes?
Yeah, I mean, some of them.
Some of them, right? Exactly.
Yes.
And
Right.
well, as you see, Victor is pretty young, so he understands probably fully, right, what I'm talking about, because that's the way young people communicate. But then it is difficult for adult people, right, to understand what it says. So just to give you the answer sheet for this, right, for this little exercise I just gave you, just follow the reading then. For the time being, I love you lots because you positively bring out all the best in me. And I laugh out loud. In other words, let me know what's up because you're a cutie. And in my opinion, as far as I know, to see you if you're not seeing someone would make me happy. For your information, I'll be right there forever. In case, keep in touch, no response necessary. On my best wishes, don't know, don't care if anyone sees, don't go there. See you later. Bye for now. Hugs and kisses. You only live once, right? So imagine all of this information conveyed in just this little paragraph, of course, using this communication code, right? And this is then a little example of manifestations of changes that people tend to do, right? In terms of the use of the language. And then similarly, language is also, right, suffering changes, or some aspects of the language are expected of you as a speaker, right? Also in terms of the gender. So let's try to exemplify gender. Okay, look at this picture. You got two ladies, two mature ladies, right? They are greeting each other with a fist bump. But you might say, well, that's all right because we're in a pandemic. We have to keep social distancing. We are not supposed to be shaking hands, right? But let's add a little extra component here. What if they're greeting and the first lady says, sup, like short for what's up? And the other one says, yo, right? What do you think of this scenario? Is it common? Would you easily find these, right, in real life?
They are too old for that.
Exactly. You notice it, Victor, right? So you don't expect this kind of vocabulary from these people because of the age, and also probably because they are women, right? And you know, women tend to be more stylistic when using language. At least that's what studies suggest. And then what if we change this, right? If we change not the scenario, the same scenario, but the characters. What if we had then two men, two guys, greeting each other with a fist bump? The first one says, sup, and the other one says, yo. Much better, right? It doesn't look so weird. So this is how language then works in terms of society. There are expectations from us as speakers of the language, and then it is somewhat our obligation to be aware of these expectations and norms, right? That determine what is acceptable and what is not in society. So the same way, right, we could develop a lot of examples, right, referring to the previous aspects that I mentioned, but due to time constraints, then let's just get to the teaching part. So what does it have to do with what I do in my class as an instructor of the English language? So first, let's discuss some specific terminology, right? In linguistics, pragmatic competence is the ability to use language effectively in a contextually appropriate fashion, right? So it is your ability to use language appropriately. But this is just one component of pragmatic competence, right? Which is a fundamental aspect of a more general communicative competence. So it means that in order to be communicatively proficient, you're not expected only to use language effectively in terms of pronunciation and structure, but also in terms of appropriateness, knowing what to say and under what circumstances, right, in order to achieve appropriacy. So what is the problem with this? I think sometimes it is difficult, right, to develop this kind of instruction in our classrooms. Firstly, because of the lack of materials, right? And secondly, because most of the programs that we use do not consider this as an important element of the instruction, right? Which is a pity. But then if you want to start becoming your students aware of these social factors, right? Social linguistic factors, then what should we do? Well, it is recommended that firstly, we need to understand how sociolinguistics works and all of its implications, right? That would be the first step. It is also recommendable to use authentic resources, right? When I say authentic resources, I mean those kind of resources that are not originally created for instructional purposes. But you could use podcasts, for example, or videos or documentaries, for example, from the internet, right? And then use them for academic purposes. Then it is something tricky, I would say, because not all the information that we find on the web is useful. And there's a lot of information that is, very sexualized these days, and it's, a very sensitive topic. So we gotta be careful and then prepare the class in advance and selecting the material that is actually suitable for the purposes that we have in mind. All right. So then it is also important to act out. Well, actually, we can have, like, once in the class itself, we can ask students to act out in different contexts, like playing a specific situation, but in different contexts, just like I did at the beginning of this presentation. It is, you're going to ask your students to role play and see their reaction, see the language they produce, and then give them some feedback. You, together with your students, can then start analyzing these chunks of language that were produced and then guide them on how appropriate those chunks of the language actually were, right? Another choice is to create classroom clients to illustrate the degree of intensity of vocabulary. To give you an example, right? For instance, you could start providing your students with, let's say, a list of words that present similar meaning. For instance, you can ask your students to analyze the use of tell, suggest, announce, states, asserts, remarks, declares, for instance, right? If you see they have some similarities, but they all present different ranks of formality. And it is not, I cannot say that I would use any of them in any specific scenario in which I am asked or required to interact. So this is something that our students need to be aware. And then finally, if you're going to develop these topics in your classes, it is also recommendable to include functions of the language. So do not limit yourself merely to content, which is what most teachers, right? And I have done this many times as well. I have to acknowledge, I just focus on the content of the language. And sometimes we forget about the functions. So what are these functions that I'm talking about? Well, ask your students to perform greetings, ask your students to perform requests, to make complaints, to make invitations, to offer apologies, for instance. These are some of the functions of the language that we usually don't pay so much attention to, right? Because we're merely focused on aspects of the language related to structuring and phonetics, for example. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying these are not important. No, of course, phonetic and structures are important. But I think the social part of language is as important as well. And sometimes we tend to forget, right, how important it is and the great benefit that it would bring to your students if we could, open this new window for them. Because we sometimes assume, well, they are in contact with technology, so they will learn it. And that is not necessarily the case. So just as Mark Van Doren says, the art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery, right? So I really encourage you to use this kind of approach in your classes. Dare to do it, right? I know it is sometimes a little bit overwhelming because of all of the factors you have to consider. But believe me, once you dare to do it, you will see, right? You will discover probably even new skills in your students, that you probably didn't even know that they had, right? So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any contributions, they are very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Professor Delgado. It's now your turn for questions.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, we have one question, and it is, do you think this writing code is or is not affecting the professional writing process for students? Is there a relationship or not at all?
Okay, obviously, I don't think, well, at least in higher education, I don't think we will find this kind of written information, for example, in formal documents that you request your students to complete, right? Because of course we have to teach them that every scenario has their own rules. But the problem is that sometimes students, as it is happening also in Spanish, get so used to this text system, right, of communication, that sometimes those that do not like reading or do not like to be exposed to normal prose, then probably they would get affected. But I think it's not something that we should worry too much about, because it is a part of the age, right? We notice here, I really doubt that most of us still keeping using texting like this, right? And this is just a process. The older we grow, the more conservative we get in terms of the use of the language. Any other concern?
Okay, the last one is this one. How to deal with IM code to teach in higher education?
How to deal with IM code to teach in higher education? Well,
that's right.
I would say that, as I said before, it is a matter of setting the grounds, right, for developing this kind of topics. Because we have to acknowledge that there are very little resources available for us. And the resources that we have sometimes are not as appropriate as they should. So we keep the risk of using material that is not so good for students. So my recommendation would be to invest some time in the preparation of these classes, of these courses also, right? So that whatever you're going to share with them actually helps the students to reach the objectives that you have set for these specific instructions and avoid confusions, right? And misunderstanding that probably might hinder their use of the language later on.
Thank you, Professor.
Please give a big round of applause to Professor Delgado. Let's call our last presenter of this symposium, Professor Amarilis Atencio. Professor Amarilis Atencio taught for 17 years at Meduca, having significant experience teaching English as a foreign language to kids and teenagers. In 2010, she entered as the assistant of the English department. Then she continued working as an English professor teaching in the BA program. In 2020, joined to form part of the staff professor in the master program. Today, she's here with us. She will share the topic, how pandemic due to COVID-19 has contributed to the English language. Let's welcome her.
Good morning. Can you listen to me?
Yes, Professor.
Yes. Have you seen the presentation to right? Okay. Good morning, special guests, professors, and dear students. It is a pleasure for me to share this topic, that is how pandemic has contributed or changed the language. It is very related to what Marcel has already said. We will see certain things in common. First of all, I would like to know if you know what is language. And I'm pretty sure that most of you has at least a definition of what language is, because you have studied that, for example, in the BA program, and also in the master degree. Well, a common definition is that language is a vehicle, that it is used by many people to share ideas, feelings, and emotions, and also it can be done in written and oral way, okay? That is the most common definition that we know about language. But I want to go beyond. I want to motivate you some insights about how significant language is And I want to do this because later, during the development of my topic, we will relate language with the pandemic situation that we are living. Okay, a good definition or a good concept about language is that is the possession that it is only for human beings, okay? It can distinguish us from other animals. And that is true, even though animals can communicate, it is only our capacity to use language to communicate because we possess certain features, like, for example, duality, creativity, and some other features that even though animal can communicate, they do not possess those features. So this is a possession that is an attribute that distinguishes us from the rest of the animals or from other animals. We become humans through language. It is said that in certain cultures and society, when a baby is born, they are considered a thing. Only when they have or they develop the ability to produce a language, they are considered human. It is just to see how important and how significant language is. It is said that we are always interacting and socializing, okay? And the only way for us to do that is through language. There are more than 7,000 languages in the world, and that is why we said that we live in a world of languages. Another important factor about language is that it is considered as an instrument of powers, and that is exactly what I want to refer about my topic in this definition. Languages live, proliferate, change, or die according to the life of the speakers. And that is exactly my point. Here we have a good word that illustrates my topic. We are going to talk about language change, or we can use also the word proliferate. And well, of course, for the English language, it is not considered a dead language because it is always changing. It is always adding new words to the vocabulary. So language is one of the most powerful emblems for social behavior. So you can consider yourself very powerful. Another important insight about language is that language can also be viewed as a mental reality. Why as a mental reality? Because it exists in the heads of the people who speak that language. And then we assume its existence because people's ability to learn a language and at least to speak one language. We are fortunate because we have the capacity to, for example, speak our native language, and also we have learned a second language. Here I want to mention this famous guy. Probably all of you know him know him because of the theory that he has proposed, and he said that all of us are born with a LAT, which is the language ability device, to produce and develop language. We have the capacity to acquire, for example, grammatical rules that allow us to learn a language. So that is a very important fact about this. Well, talking about language, which is the main concern here, we also have to talk about linguistics. Linguistics is, as you know, the scientific study of the language. You, master students, have been also prepared in the BA program, and I'm pretty sure you have taken all those subjects as a morphology, semantic, grammar, all those fields and branches that we need to develop the language, right? Well, here I want to refer to social linguistics. Why to social linguistics? Because it is a branch in linguistics, and it is very important, especially for my topic, or especially for the situation that we are living. Well, a very brief definition about social linguistics is that it has to do with the connections between language and society and the way we use that in many different social contexts. Well, it is a very good definition because it is exactly what we are seeing. And here I have to mention a pioneer in social linguistics, which is William Labov. William Labov is regarded as the founder of varionationist social linguistics, and which is a discipline that have, for example, studying or researching the relationship of social factors, such as, for example, ethnicity, age, race, class, as Marcel was explaining. But in addition to that, we have to, in addition to those factors, we have also to add, for example, social issues that shape not only the way we behave, but also the language. It is said that pandemic has led to an explosion of new terms and phrases that has been added to the language, okay? So for this reason, I'm going to explain some of those words or those expressions that probably were not in our vocabulary, okay? Here I have some of them, but I will explain some others. But before that, before providing the examples and some of the expressions, because I will explain some of them, there are so many that we can spend the whole afternoon here talking about those words and expressions. Well, but first of all, we have to develop a very important linguistic phenomenon, which is neologism. Neologism, based on the Collins Dictionary, the definition for that is a new word or expression in a language or a new meaning for an existing word or expression. It is also defined as a new coin lexical unit or an existing lexical unit that acquire a new sense. And that is exactly what we are going to see in the explanation that I have later for this, okay? It says that there are different types of neologism, such as coinage, abbreviations, and collocations. We will see only a few examples about them. Okay, here I have a picture from heroes to zeros. Probably this word have never been used like this before, okay? It is only a way for probably doctors or nurses to express the way they were feeling. And then here, for example, the meaning of zeros, probably it is that they will disappear, okay? So it means that it is a word that probably we know, but now it has another different meaning. If you were pendant to, for example, social media or the news, you can see a lot of headlines with different words. Probably some of them were not familiar for us, and now they are very frequently in use. Here, for example, we have a new word, okay? After pandemic, you know that the traditional high five is not in use anymore, and you can use, for example, elbow bump as a way for greeting another person, or using the traditional, as Marcel showed in the picture, the traditional fist bump, okay? So probably those are behaviors that we were not accustomed, and those behavior has carried new terminologies and new words in the vocabulary. Okay, another, probably this is something that is very funny, but it was a real situation. And that is why we say that language evolves and adapts to new realities and circumstances. And that is exactly what we can see in this picture. For example, during the lockdown, there were not, for example, barbershops or beauty salons. So people were in the situation of having their hair cut by themselves, okay? So a new word for this was born, which is corona cut. Corona cut is a hair that you give yourself during coronavirus pandemic because of non-essential barbershops or because they were closed, okay? So if you see people with a very bad hairstyle, probably it is, or it was because he get her hair cut. So the word corona cut was seen on tweets and on social media too. Another word that could be added or frequently used in the vocabulary is doom scrolling. Doom scrolling, and sometimes it also was referred as doom surfing, okay? Doom surfing, that it was a special phenomenon that people were very obsessive watching the news on their smartphones, and they were scrolling up and down for news every time. And well, this social behavior had as a consequence a new word or terminology that was called doom scrolling. Okay, this word, well, it is not new for us. However, here we have to pay attention to semantic. We usually say work from home, okay, which is not bad at all. However, the correct word or expression, it is remote work, okay? And that is for example, the flexibility or the arrangement that was done with employees to allow them to work from their houses, okay? But the term is remote work. This word was on the top of the words in all the, well, for linguistics who studied the language, it was flatten the curve. Flatten the curve was a term that was used as Nader was saying, this is an event, this pandemic has been an event that we have experienced for first time. So people were in the necessity of create new words and expression. This word, flatten the curve, was mainly used by doctors and people on health centers to like show, for example, with a graphic that the spreading of the virus, okay? So they were really worried about this, and they were trying to lower that, as you can see here in the picture, to slow like the spreading of the virus to this curve. So it was very popular, this word. Okay, another word that is kind of offensive, but it exists, was COVIDiot. COVIDiot was a term used or implemented for those peoples who were rejecting to follow the norms, the healthy norms, for preventing, for example, the spreading of coronavirus. So there were people that were rejecting to wear the face mask. So this is the term for those people who were not behaving based on or that were ignoring the advices, okay? COVIDiot. Here, another social phenomenon, and it was a reality, not only, for example, in the United States, but in many other different countries. And then this social behavior rises the word COVID divorce. COVID divorce, it was, for example, the increase of the rate in the divorce of people that couldn't stand, for example, sharing the whole day long in their houses, and well, that brought as a consequence that they get divorced. And in the Times New York, there is an article related to COVID divorce, another impact of a social behavior due to pandemic that originates a new word in our vocabulary. So talking about semantic terms, here we have to make the distinction between quarantine and also lockdown. People were confusing the terms, and everybody was adapting the term quarantine to refer to the social isolation that we were living. Well, to explain you, this term is only applicable for those people that are tested and they resulted in positive for COVID-19. And they have to, for example, stay in isolation for the rest of the society, even for the rest of their family in a room, okay? That is quarantine. And the other one, it is lockdown. Lockdown, okay? It is almost the same. However, it is not because you are positive by COVID-19, but because it is a governmental demand that you have to, for example, stay in your houses, okay? So the terms, even though they are a little bit related, it is the term for exactly for this, okay? So people were saying, we're in quarantine, we were living a lockdown, okay? Because quarantine is, or resulted is, if everyone is infected, okay? So it is a semantic confusion. However, it is a good topic for linguistics, right? In addition to that, new words were created. As you know, the generation that it is, for example, 15, 16, 18 years old right now, it is called the millennials generation. Probably in 15 years, this generation will be called quarantines, okay? As you see the word here, quarantines, because those were the babies born latest the 2020 or earliest the 2021. And that is why they will be called the quarantines generation. Another word that was originated due to pandemic was maskne. Maskne, it is because people were, for example, having some problems wearing the face mask. Some of them were allergic, and that is why this word was added, maskne. That is a condition and a skin condition due to the use of the mask. Another topic, and that people were like reinvented themselves, and the need for socializing create this word. Instead of martini, that is a drink that people use to drink in groups, for example, in a bar, they create a warantini that is the same, but the only thing is that they will drink that alone in their houses, and they will only share through probably on a screen. Okay, and there are so many others, as I said before. Here, for example, we have and also, okay, this is an example also in semantics, and that some reporters and social media were having problems where they want to express that situation. For example, social distancing. Social distancing means a social disconnection, the same that probably as we have doing, okay? That is the term to refer to social distancing. Everybody at their houses, no meetings, not physical, physical meeting, okay? Physical distancing is the term that should be used for example, when you want to keep a person away, 2 meters away. This is the term, physical distancing, okay? It is not social distancing as we have seen on different posters, keep the social distance 2 meters away. Well, that is not, and that is exactly what I want to provoke here, okay? This concern about how language can be perceived in many different ways, especially when it is referring to meaning. Okay, so for that reason, in Singapore, they rejected to use social distancing or physical distancing because it was causing a trouble or a conflict, and they decide to use the word safe distancing, which is the word that for everybody understand and avoid this misunderstanding. Here we have some abbreviations. As another was presented, that's the way that many people use to communicate, especially when we have very long expressions. Then, for example, we are very accustomed to say COVID-19, COVID-19. Well, the COVID-19 is for referring to coronavirus disease 2019, that was exactly the year when it was discovered. For example, this WFH, work from home, people are very familiar, but remember the correct expression is remote working or remote work. This word, hydroxychloroquine, was very famous. You know, people were like discussing about the effectiveness of this medicine for cure the COVID-19. Well, here you have the initials. So it is good to know about that because probably we are sometimes lost, we cannot understand. And this is exactly the language for referring to, for example, pandemic or COVID language. This is exactly what we have here. And instead of, for example, for doctors and nurses wear the traditional uniform, now they have to use a PPE, personal protective equipment, okay? So, and another word that was very famous was oxygen saturation, and here you have the initials for referring to that word. There are many others, as I told you, a lot of abbreviation, a lot of coined words, and well, until here, okay, it is my presentation. We do not know if those words will remain in the language. That will be, for example, a job for linguistics, a concern about if the words will stay or not in the language, and they have to do that through a severe scrutiny. People, until here, it is my presentation. And well, those are the references. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing this information with us. Education is the most powerful tool you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Thanks for your attention. I encourage you to prepare more activities like this. Now, Professor Eric Marin, student from the master program, will give us the closing words.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Quintero. It has been a wonderful academic meeting. We want to thank all the guests and presenters involved in this symposium, as well as the organizing committee for preparing this important academic event. Professor Nadila Sanjur, coordinator of the master program, and Professor teaching in the master degree. We hope you all enjoyed this symposium and thank you for being here today. So maybe we will have the opportunity to get together again next year. But for now, I wish all of you have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
To all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, people.
Bye.
Nice seeing
Bye.
you.
See you.
See you. Goodbye. See you later.
Congratulations
Bye-bye.
to all of you. Good presentations.
Thank you, Professor Amarilis. Should I use the words now?
Yes.
But I need to wait in order to use the words. That was my question.
Thank you, Howard.